Hello and welcome back everyone, we Weeb Online, and today I'm gonna continue the story What If Naruto Became Brutal for Hinata Part 2. If you enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
Neji had been at the academy for a year, and in the months that followed, I had managed to become a level 6 seal master. By great difficulty, I mean that reaching level 6 was extremely challenging. It now required understanding the seals in addition to memorization. I wouldn't have gotten anywhere if it weren't for the library. I hate to admit it, but the Hokage has made me very grateful. I had better do the same for you, soon. As anticipated, Neji was ranked first in today's results for his annual exams. Kuromaru, myself, and the Hyuga family attended the academy. The audience was cheering loudly for Neji's achievements as we watched the Hokage present him with a certificate of excellence. Some women were talking among themselves, such a bright young lad, as expected of a Hyuga. I hope the young heiress will perform even better than him. After hearing that, Hinata started to question her own abilities in light of what others were expecting of her. Is that even possible for me? Can I match Neji Nisan's skill level? She pondered. I can see that she was having trouble meeting everyone's expectations of her, and she was beginning to doubt herself. Don't worry about what people want you to be, just do your best and be what you want to be. Your life is yours to control, so you're the only one who can mold your own future. Besides, none of these snot-nosed brats could ever compare to you, I said, placing my hand on her tiny shoulders. She flinched at the unexpected touch and looked at my face. Hinata grinned and gave me a hug, indicating that she was happy with my speech. She was hugging my waist and burying her face in my solid six-packs, despite the fact that I was much taller than her. I am getting too tall for a child of 9 years old. How often do you see a 9-year-old child who is 4 years older than me and nearly as tall as most teenagers? Never. We went to Ichiraku's ramen store for lunch after Hinami completed the Hinata Academy entrance form. The rest of the day was uneventful. The fourth Hokage typically spent his leisure time there. To be honest, I don't want to be associated with any location where the fourth Hokage may be found. Since he had ruined my life from the day I was born, I truly hate that man. However, the ramen was not too bad, and the proprietor and his teenage daughter were very friendly. Although it wasn't as good as Hinata's cooking, it was still good enough for me to give it 4 stars. We then parted ways in the direction of our houses. Kuromaru and I waved goodbye to the Hyuga family before idly walking over to our pit. The walk was reasonably quiet, and it was satisfying to frighten the obnoxious people who were whispering nasty things about me. The pleasant atmosphere was abruptly broken by a loud thunderclap. I looked up into the sky and saw that it was covered in black clouds. This morning was sunny and bright, but the weather abruptly changed. A drop of rain landed on my face a few seconds later, and as the drops got bigger by the second, there was eventually a torrential downpour. I simply stood there gazing up at the overcast sky. Kuromaru, who was standing with me in the rain, said, "First brother, something bad is going to happen, right?" "Yes, something terrible is going to take place. But if it does not involve us or Hinata-chan or her family, I don't give a fuck," I shot back. I'm a simple person. I give good things back to good people and evil things back to evil people. Others can simply rot, but I will return my goodness to those who deserve it. I am not a hero. Unknown Kumo location, at a cafe, all of the Konoha's spies were assembled. They had gathered information about the Hyuga matriarch's murder attempt and the Hyuga heiress kidnapping incident during their 2 years in Kumo. They have discovered all the evidence today. Alright, now Hikari-san, what have you found out? I have infiltrated the Raikage's office, and as suspected, he was the one who was behind both the kidnapping and the murder attempt. Suzuki remarked, but that's not all, is it? They also intend to abduct individuals with strong bloodlines from the Kiri who are fleeing the civil war and implement their so-called breeding program on them, Hikari said with a heavy sigh. Things are going to be very problematic in the near future. Suzuki stated, we should leave Kumo tonight and deliver all this information to Lord Hokage. The group left the cafe without realizing that someone else was listening in on their entire conversation. He turned on his radio as a man stepped out of the darkness. This is Alpha, from the Search and Destroy unit. The targets are confirmed to possess confidential information. What are your orders, Captain? A voice on the radio said, follow them. Yes, Captain. At the spy hideout of the Konoha, while Suzuki was writing the information they had learned on a scroll, Hikari assisted her teammates in packing. 2 gentle hands encircled him from behind his head. Hikari inquired, are you prepared to see our son once more? I'm very excited actually. I hope that Asuma had taken good care of our son. Don't worry, your brother is a very responsible man. I'm sure he had taken a very good care of our son. So what are you going to do when you reach Konoha? Oh, I have lots of plans. First I'm gonna take you and our son to a family restaurant, then go sightseeing. Then we will take a bath together, and then. I have so many things to do with my family. Hikari grinned and opened her mouth to speak, but the ground trembled violently. Everyone inside the cave froze. They initially believed it to be an earthquake, but now they are certain that their worst fears have been realized. It was an attack, not an earthquake. They had been discovered by the Kumo military. Suzuki's perspective, the Kumo military's attacks were causing the cave, where we had been hiding for the previous 2 years, to tremble violently. Our hideout's entrance was secured with a level 5 seal and hidden by genjutsu. However, that was insufficient against the Kumo's onslaught. We've only got a few minutes to get away. We dug an escape tunnel that would take us 10 miles from the village of Kumo. I accepted the scroll, which held all of the data that we had all accumulated over the previous 2 years. I dashed to a wall and cleared the stones that obscured our escape route. I watched as my allies entered the tunnel one by one. Our squad leader and my wife were the only 2 remaining. As my wife went through the tunnel, our entrance exploded, allowing the Kumo ninjas to enter our hiding place. It appears that my moment has arrived. Our squad leader shoved me into the tunnel just as I was ready to use the burning ash jutsu. What the hell are you doing? They're going to kill you, I said, glancing at our leader. I don't want your son to be fatherless, so better get back alive, okay, he said with a simple smile. You don't decide what I should do. However, my wife, who was wearing a very dejected expression, pulled my hand very hard. Why? Why should things be this way? Our leader was yelled at. I won't forget this. I am aware that he will die. However, I will not allow his passing to be in vain. For this, the Kumo will pay tenfold. My wife and I ran as if there were no tomorrows. Fire style. Burst Inferno. That was the jutsu of the leader. It was fire jutsu for a wide area. However, I don't think that would deter them. Shortly afterward, we heard a death scream. Who owned it is already known to us. He cannot be saved. We must proceed and ensure that his passing won't be in vain. We simply kept running and running and running. 10 miles or so was the length of the tunnel. Because of its narrowness, movement was limited. We took a brief break after running a few miles before starting up again. We arrived at the exit. The rest of our team is waiting for us as well. Hey, Suzuki, where is our leader? I didn't answer that query. My teammates took advantage of my silence to figure out the solution. When they realized their leader was dead, they lowered their faces. However, we soon bounced back from the devastating news and carried on with our escape from the Kumo. We were worn out from running for an hour and took a short break. Crossing the rocky valley that lay ahead of us is now our only option. The Kumo military can no longer harm us after we cross that. I can already picture my wife and I returning to Konoha and the amazing times we spent there with my son doing things a father should do. I have more important things to do with my family, so it's time for me to retire from this ninja stuff. But I feel like I've been treated cruelly by fate. We heard a shout behind us. There they are. Capture them. The Kumo ninjas were closing in quickly, so we promptly got up and ran on. Shurikens and kunais were hurled at us, but as if time had stopped, I saw a kunai fly by me with an explosive tag attached. In front of us, the kunai ensconced itself in the walls. Boom! The loud blast from the explosive tag made my ears ring and left me feeling completely numb. I lay on my face against the stony floor. When I looked around, I saw a terrible scene. The rock that fell on us during the explosion crushed my squadmates to death. I searched for my wife, praying she was unharmed. When I saw that my wife was in good health, a few scratches, but she will live, I let out a sigh of relief. She stood up, moaning in agony. Why, you all right? I said, sounding a little weak. Her eyes were open when she turned to face me, and her face was filled with horror. She covered her mouth with her hands to keep from yelling. Why, you're, she pointed at me and said, dear? Curiously, I turned to look behind me and saw that a big boulder had completely crushed my lower body from my waist down. I'll be damned, though. I doubt I could have screamed in agony because it was too much for me. Quickly search them. Make sure no one is left alive. Kumo seems determined to do us no harm. My wife was not pleased that my death was now inevitable. Her attempt to remove the boulder from my crushed body was desperate. However, it refuses to move and I doubt that it ever would. She told me, don't worry, I'll get you out of here, while crying. Then we will go home alright. We will be with our son, we will live happily ever after, alright. You hear me, so don't give up. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I coughed blood as I reached out to stroke her face. No, 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 please, no, don't do this to me, please. I'm sorry, but... I pulled out the scroll that listed all of Kumo's previous years' worth of heinous crimes. Take this as and give it to the Hokage. The world must know about this, and you are the only one who could do this. Now Gyao. Please no, I can't, I screamed at her, just go. And she was shocked. Tears were starting to form as I whispered, just go, okay. After wiping the tears from her eyes, Hikari gradually moved away from me, and I was unable to see her again. Someone shouted, "Sir, there is only one survivor here." A short while later, I was surrounded by Kumo ninjas. One spy has escaped, sir. We can still intercept her by the river. Then I caught the ninja's attention. You sure can run, you Konoha scum. I gave them a sarcastic smile and said, thanks for the compliment. Why, you little captain, I request that I execute him right now. Permission granted. The man I had just made fun of approached me brandishing a katana. Over his head, he lifted the blade. You can die at ease, you scum. But when I find that wife of yours, I make sure she suffers, oh. And she will like it. Hope she can handle me. I wonder what she tastes like. I have watched your group for the past months and damn. You wife is a fine woman. I'll break her down completely. Hee. She won't remember your name by the time I'm through with her. Anger was building inside of me. They must all die, including this piece of shit. I will send all of these jerks to hell because I suddenly made a hand seal and used a ninjutsu technique that my brother taught me. Fire style. Burning ash jutsu. I summoned what last bit of chakra I had and threw a black fog of ash at the Kumo ninjas. To prepare for what lay ahead, they all retreated a step. However, I coughed up blood. Huh? That's it? And I thought that this cornered animal was going to bare his fangs at us? What a shame. I grinned at their folly. They ought to have moved out of here. They had all been killed by the ash, which had spread so far. What are you smiling at? What idiots they are. Never underestimate a cornered animal. Fool. Now, you die. I started the fatal reaction of death by striking the ash with my 2 metal-implanted canines, which ignited the ash and created a spark. Everyone was reduced to ashes by the fire, including me. I only have one self-centered desire that I would like to fulfill now that my body is turning to ash. That is to get a final glimpse of my son's voice. However, that will never happen. Hikari's perspective. When I turned around after hearing a loud explosion behind me, I saw a massive fire soaring into the sky. There is only one person that I know who would do that. He's dead now. I've known him for a very long time, and we've spent a lot of time together doing things. Sharing in the happiness and sadness. I was overjoyed. Tears were streaming from my eyes. However, it was no longer a time for me to grieve because I had a crucial task to complete. I held on tight to the scroll in my hand. I veered away from the flaming flames and started running toward the Konoha-Kumo border. Everything will be finished after a few more miles are traveled. I'm hoping. I came to a river and rested for a little while. I now have to plan ahead for the current circumstance. A team of extremely skilled Kumo ninjas is up against me alone. Since I'm still in Kumo territory, which means I'm in Kumo's yard, I have very little chance of getting out of Kumo. They are extremely familiar with their home field, so it is highly likely that they will set up an ambush for me. I therefore need a diversion right now, and I've got a strategy. My thumb started to bleed when I bit it. I make a few hand gestures in summoning jutsu. With a puff of smoke, I slammed my hand to the ground, calling forth my animal. The little black centipede said to me in a boyish voice, "How can I assist you, Hikari-sama?" "This is my special delivery summoning, Genki-kun." "Yes, Genki-kun, I have a job for you. All of my summonings have to do with centipedes. Despite their impressive offensive and defensive prowess, centipedes are unique in their versatility. I want you to take this scroll and deliver it to the Hokage. Is that understood?" "Yes, Hikari-sama." Genki-kun held the scroll in his mandibles after I handed it to him. "Hikari-sama, I just want to let you know, please be safe." I faked a smile and said, "Don't worry, it would take a lot to take me down." With a puff of smoke, Genki-kun reverse summoned himself and vanished. It's my turn to shine now. I kept getting away from Kumo territory. It was a long run. If my memory serves me correctly, I ran for hours on end. As a result, it is currently 3 in the morning. I stopped and hid behind a big rock after a few more minutes. Well, everything is going as planned. I noticed 20 to 30 ninjas starting to prepare an ambush for me when I peered over the top of the rock. In order to intercept an enemy with deadly precision, they were forming a box formation and guarding the edge of a forest. The time had come to implement the plan. I might be able to get out of Kumo unscathed if everything goes as planned. Well, nothing here. I ran directly to the forest's edge, but before I could get inside, shurikens and kunais were hurled at me. I had to backflip 3 times to dodge the oncoming hail of weapons. I quickly turned around and began to flee after doing a few backflips to avoid the attack. After her, when one Kumo ninja yelled, the other ninjas began to pursue me. At least the plan was successful. Somewhere in the woods. It's unbelievable that those fools were duped by such a basic diversion. I created a basic diversion with a shadow clone to help me get away, and it was a great success. I'll be entering the vast territory of the Land of Fire after just a few more miles of travel. Only a handful more. Lariat, something struck me, and it hit me so hard that it broke when I crashed into a tree. I was so frail. I noticed that my chest had a large hole in it. I gagged at my own blood and coughed. I turned to face my assailant. The dark-skinned, muscular man who said, "Stop your pointless efforts, your death is certain," was none other than the Raikage's son. "Just tell me where is Scroll and I'll reward you with a swift death." "Why you will never find it." I uttered those words in between bloody coughs. With disappointment, A remarked, "So it seems I have been too late." He lifted his closed fist and aimed it at my skull, saying, "Since I was told not to leave any survivors, I have to kill you. Any last words?" Too much blood is being lost by me. My vision is becoming hazy. Well, it appears that my moment has arrived. I wish I had more time at home to do some things. I will really miss everyone. But I will really miss my son. All I want is to spend one final moment with him, which includes meeting him, hearing his voice, and running my fingers through his hair. However, that will not occur. Tell this, to the scum you call a father, that hell will be the place he will rot for eternity. I grinned at the man in front of me. I created a single seal by calling forth the last of my chakra. Kai. Gave me a perplexed look. I kept sneering at him. Tell the demons in hell that I send them my warm greetings. I could feel the smoke rising from my clothing. The vest belonged to a suicide bomber. There were plenty of paper bombs inside, enough to demolish anything. Shit. The quantity of paper bombs was a curse. BOOMMMMM. My eyes are now blinded by a bright light. My husband was seated at a marble seat surrounded by an abundance of flowers of various species as I was adjusting the lights. This location is really pleasant. I'm happy to be. End of Hikari Pav. Hiruzen. It's war. Danzo slammed his fist at the table and yelled angrily. Hiruzen was devastated when he received the scroll containing the news of his sons and his daughter-in-law's deaths a few hours after Suzuki and Hikari's deaths. The village elders present at the scene also heard the news and called a meeting of the entire village council. Now, Danzo asked for a straightforward solution. Destroy the Kumo village and all of its inhabitants. Some thought this was a bit excessive, but his justifications were sound. No one kills Konoha's ninjas without getting punished. In order to ensure that money and trade always flowed into Konoha's bank and to maintain the image of Konoha as the strongest ninja village in the elemental nations, the number of ninjas had fallen to a very dangerous level since the terrible event of the Kyuubi's rampage a few years ago. As a result, every high-ranking ninja took up high-ranked missions and maintained a strict border patrol to keep away any ninja village that would try to attack the village. The village had to take drastic measures to increase the number of active ninjas because every ninja was valuable and they could not afford to lose any more, so every ninja who graduated from the academy was highly valued. In reality, it was not a good plan because many more ninjas were killed over the course of the following few years for a variety of reasons, including fatigue, stress, failed missions, and many more bloody reasons. Slow down, Danzo. Danzo complied with Hiruzen's gesture to sit down and relax. How can this Hiruzen help me relax? Danzo spoke in a tone that was angry but devoid of emotion. Your own son's final and last message to you was contained in that scroll on the table. No, his final message to Konoha was that a village is about to commit numerous evil deeds, not just against us but also against other villages. Lord Hokage, are you not concerned about any of this? In light of the fact that your daughter-in-law gave her life to bring us this scroll, do you? I know that very well, Danzo, but the village comes first, Hiruzen said, closing his eyes and taking a deep breath. Additionally, the village lacks the manpower and resources needed to begin whatever you have planned to do. All of the other clan leaders nodded in agreement with Hiishi's declaration, I also agree with Lord Hokage. Not just my clan, but I also think the other ninja clans will agree that they have lost too much to start another war. Many clans have been extinct since the last 3 major ninja wars, and the fact that they are still standing tall and proud is proof that they were fierce opponents on the battlefield. Children of that era believed that the battlefield was their entry into adulthood, a fantastic event to gain fame and glory, and they were mistaken. Wars were a place where many could earn fame, power, prestige, greatness, and respect. Glory and fame were there, but at what cost? What must you give up or sacrifice in order to obtain them, and is it really worth it in the end? Each clan leader in the room had experienced war firsthand, and it left no pleasant memories behind. Many lives were lost, some of them family members. And as of right now, they won't send any clan members to fight unless they have a good reason. Despite his intense rage, Danzo maintained his composure. You folks must have better ideas, don't you? Danzo asked. They all looked at the slack-jawed Nara clan chief in the room. The aforementioned man had a look on his face that said, "Really? Nara-san, do you have any recommendations?" the Hokage inquired. Troublesome, he sighed in his head. I really only have one idea. It could have significant positive effects on Konoha as a whole. What is it? Since they had to wake him up too early in the morning and then informed him of the death of the Hokage's son and daughter-in-law, Choza asked naively, to be honest, this council meeting is giving me a headache. This morning is too much for me. Inform the different ninja villages of the information we obtained. A loud sound reverberated throughout the room, and it came from Danzo impaling a wooden cane by thrusting it to the ground. Angry, Danzo exclaimed, "Share intel. Do you have a mental illness? Who in their right mind would give information to their own enemies?" That was the most ridiculous thing he had ever heard. He believes that Kumo is an enemy and that they should not be shown any mercy. When enemies are created, they should only be punished with death. Please at least allow me to finish my sentence. Shikaku uttered those words. After calming down and grunting, Danzo said, "Go on and finish it." So as I was saying, we share the intelligence of the shady things Kumo is about to do, Shikaku said, clearing his throat. As they deal with the Kumo, the corresponding village may not initially appreciate us, but you all understand what that means when they do. They are all aware of Shikaku's topic. Danzo believed that the plan was not too bad and that the best time to act would be when the other villages relaxed their guards. The Shibi Aburame asked, "Shikaku-san, are you sure that this would work? The plan sounds great and all, but will it actually work?" He had known Shikaku for a long time and trusted him with his life, but he was unsure about this plan because it was a bit too risky. Shikaku stated, "I'm sure of it. That plan of yours sounds great and all, but my question now is, how much do we share with them?" Sume Inuzuka responded. Of course not all the information will be given, only information regarding their own villages will be given, replied Shikaku. How about the village in the hidden mist? What? Inquired Fugaku Uchiha. Shikaku responded, with regard to the mist, I think we cannot help them. The ongoing civil war will make the mist a very dangerous place to visit. Although there is a significant chance of death, it would be worth the shot if we gave it to the rebels. Everyone agreed with the head of the Nara clan. It was worth the risk. Gaining more allies is far more beneficial than gaining more enemies, but if one is not careful, allies can turn against you. Danzo complimented Shikaku in a cool, emotionless voice that seemed completely unconcerned, saying, "This is good plan, Nara-san." Hiruzen suggested, "So, all who agree with Nara-san please raise your hands." Everyone in the room put up their hands. All right, in 2 days, the plan will go into action. Now, that I think about it, Sume said, drawing everyone's attention, don't you think the Kumo would already be aware that information had already been leaked and that they were going to alter their plans if we had this scroll right here? Shikaku responded, "It might sound crazy, but I have a feeling that the Kumo did not realize that, although everyone was taken aback by that." Shikaku guessing that was crazy, but this was Shikaku, and he knows what he's doing, so that gave the council some relief. After a few moments, everyone left the room, leaving only Hiruzen sitting in his chair. I think this meeting has reached its end. His face was pressed against the floor, and the room was so quiet that a pin drop could be heard clearly. He felt as though he had lost a piece of his heart this morning. The pain from the day he lost his wife 9 years ago was still fresh in his mind, and now he had lost even more. The Sarutobi clan was extremely vicious and specialized in warfare and tactics. They had a chakra supply that was only surpassed by the Uzumaki clan, which allowed them to fight for days. They were able to master all 5 elements due to their great intelligence and eagerness to learn, and they had accumulated almost all of the ninjutsu known in the elemental nations. Their tactics were comparable to those of the Nara clan, and they were present on every battlefield, mercilessly destroying their enemies. However, that was in the past. Only 3 members of the Sarutobi clan remained at this time because they were present on every battlefield: Hiruzen, his youngest son Asuma, and his grandson Konohamaru. The village had to be the first thing he needed to focus on. Being patriotic can sometimes be a bad quality. Hiruzen was devastated by the sudden news of his son and daughter-in-law's death, but he could not let everyone see him like this. He would do anything to see the person responsible die a horrible death, even if it were from his own hands. At Kumo, in front of his father, it was covered in blood from head to toe. He was severely injured in the explosion he had been in at close range, but he was still alive. "What is the report, then?" his dad inquired. "He said, I'm the only survivor." "Shay. Kumo has become very frail. In any case, have you obtained the scroll that contained the information they had stolen?" His father said, "It is unbelievable that even with your participation in the mission, we are unable to defeat those Konoha scums without suffering any casualties." "I didn't say anything. Give me an A. Is the scroll in your possession?" From his pocket, A produced a scroll, which he handed to his father and said, "Hear it." Using his bare hand, his father crushed the scroll. "Now, we can proceed accordingly with the plan," his dad said. "Go get yourself some medical attention, you are drenched in blood." "Yes, Raikage-sama," he said as he walked out of the office to head to the hospital. His father's plans are becoming too risky and absurd for Kumo, so he decided to put an end to them before they could happen. "Old man, your reign of tyranny will come to an end and I will be the one to end it." Naruto's point of view for Konoha, well, not for Maya, it was a depressing morning. The village held a funeral today for the ninjas who had died in Kumo. The infiltration unit had been killed in action, and the most heartbreaking aspect was that the Hokage's own son and his daughter-in-law were among them. Since I felt very at ease in the pit in the middle of the forest where I call home, I honestly don't want to attend any funerals, but I complied with Hinami-san's advice to at least honor those who lost their lives for the sake of society. "Hey, do I have to wear these clothes, Neji? I really dislike these black funeral clothes. Why can't I just wear my normal, comfortable clothes instead? They're too dark for my taste." Neji answered, "Aniki, it's tradition. Tradition my ass. Instead of standing in the rain, I would rather be warm and dry. I should have brought an umbrella because the sky was overcast today and could rain heavily at any time. Hinata-chan might develop a fever if she stood in that rain." "You're being irrational, Aniki. In addition, she is not as delicate as you believe. Although I respect Hinata-chan's strength, I dislike seeing her suffer." Kuromaru decided it would be best to remain at the pit in order to avoid any trouble, even though it is foolish that they forbid animals, including him, at the funeral. The announcer said that we had arrived at the funeral of the 5 ninjas who died heroically. Then the rain started, and it was really heavy. I pulled out the umbrella I had brought and opened it, bringing Hinata-chan inside and putting my arm around her to keep her close because I was afraid she would get wet from the intense rain. Since we were so close, I could see that she was blushing, but I was actually feeling pretty good. Neji stood in the rain like all the adults here, acting tough, and he would later regret it. It was time to pay their final respects to the ninjas who had died. Many placed flowers in front of their pictures because their bodies had never been found. I turned to face Hinata-chan and said, "May you all find peace in the afterlife. I respect people like you protecting your loved ones by sacrificing your lives. I would have done the same for her, and as long as she's happy, I'm happy too." When it was my turn, I put a wild flower I found in the forest in front of their pictures. But all of a sudden, I noticed something. I saw a young boy who might be Hanabi-chan's age or older, wearing a ridiculous-looking helmet that was both practical and foolish, and a ridiculously long scarf around his neck, which I'm sure causes him to trip every time he walks. I was most troubled by the expression on his face, though, which was inappropriate for a child of his age. If my memory serves me correctly, he is the only grandson of the Hokage, and he looked very eerie with his pale face and red eyes from lack of sleep. This kid just lost his parents, and judging by the expression on his face, he must be mentally scared. Damn, this was a sad experience. I'm going home because this place is too depressing for me. After 2 days, achoo, I whistled softly. Neji, that's one high fever. Yes, Neji had a cold and a high fever. I warned him that day not to spend too much time outside in the rain, but he disregarded my advice, so he sort of deserved it. Neji-Nisan, are you feeling okay? Hinata asked. Since Neji's father and Hinata's father were at a clan council meeting, Hinata and I were looking after him. Neji moaned, "This sucks." "Well, if you had listened to me that day, you wouldn't be lying on this futon." Neji Nissan, Naruto-kun is correct. You ought to have given your health more attention. Tenten-chan is also very concerned about you. Perhaps it was because of the fever, but I swear I saw Neji flushed. Hinata gently replaced the ice pack that was placed on Neji's forehead with a fresh one, saying, "Neji Nissan, it's time to change the ice pack." To be honest, I'm envious of this fortunate bastard and I want Hinata to look after me when I'm ill, but that won't be possible because, according to a certain fox in my gut, all Jinchuriki are blessed with high immunity, so I won't have to deal with getting sick. At the moment, having high immunity was more of a burden than a benefit. Oh man, it's going to get noisy. Suddenly, we heard a loud battle cry and running footsteps approaching our room. Rock Lee was the boy with the oversized eyebrows who appeared when the door slammed open. "Neji-kun. My rival has arrived. I have the very medications that Gai-sensei instructed me to give you, so your youthful flames won't be extinguished by this illness." He discovered that he had dropped the medication somewhere when he reached for his pocket. It was becoming too strange, so Lee instantly dropped to his knees and slammed his head repeatedly on the ground while yelling, "I'm sorry." However, Tenten saved the day by slamming Lee's head with a wooden katana, which silenced him. "Quit making the noise, can't you see Neji is trying to rest?" On a typical day, Kuromaru and I left the Hyuga compound together. He was having a great time playing with the other Hyuga children, who were all taking turns riding on his back and giving him lots of fruits when he was hungry. All in all, the children adored him, and it's nice to see children from both branches playing together carelessly. Even Hanabi, who is from the main branch, would play with the other Hyuga children. "What's for supper, first brother?" Kuromaru inquired. "The usual, you know." "You know what, I want to eat some beef ramen." "Second brother, I realize I've said this 1,000 times, but isn't that cannibalism?" "Well, it's not cannibalism if..." Kuromaru halted before he could complete it, alerting us to a shadowy presence. We lived alone on the streets of Konoha for years, and in order to protect ourselves from attacks, we sort of developed a sixth sense that could warn us of any evil force attempting to harm us. It had never let us down and had saved our asses more times than we could count. We investigated the source of the presence and found Konohamaru, the Hokage's only grandson, in an alley with 3 boys much older than him. The atmosphere was tense, suggesting that a fight might break out, but this presence was a little odd because it belonged to a child. Although it appeared to be an unfair 3-on-1 match, Konohamaru's facial expressions were unsettling. It should be known that I have a creepy to downright scary grin, and even Hinata-chan said it was kind of scary. The 3 older boys appeared to be trying to pick a fight, but his smile stopped them in their tracks. However, this child was smiling like a murderous psychopath, and a few seconds later, a fight broke out and it wasn't just any fight. The fight was certain to get dirty when Konohamaru punched one of the older children in the crotch, causing him to fall to the ground with his body curled up and groaning in pain. The other 2 swiftly tackled Konohamaru to the ground after spotting their leader on the ground, and one of the older boys pinned him there with a bear hug to keep him there. "Hurry and remove him." The person pinning Kuromaru yelled at his friend, who nodded and looked around for anything that might be used as a weapon. As he turned to face the child who was looking for a weapon to attack him, Konohamaru realized he needed to move quickly in order to break free from the child's vice-like hold that was holding him to the ground. The boy was screaming in agony, but he chose to ignore it. He was much shorter than his attackers, so he was able to put his mouth to the boy's head and bite it as hard as he could until blood was streaming from it. Subsequently, Konohamaru escalated his violence by tilting his head and pulling it back in order to rip the boy's scalp off his head. The boy had to let go of his bear hug because he was in too much pain, but Konohamaru had other ideas and continued to bite harder and harder, as though he was attempting to remove the boy's scalp. Konohamaru was suddenly hit by a trash can on the side of his face, which caused him to crash into one. That insane smile remained fixed on Konohamaru's face as he hurried back to his feet. Blood was streaming from his mouth, and the child who had struck him was terrified to death by his insane smile. The child was about to strike Konohamaru once more when he raised the trash can. The child dropped the trash can while frantically trying to clean his eyes after Konohamaru merely threw dirt into them. Konohamaru immediately threw him to the ground and pummeled his face with blow after blow. A wooden chair slammed into Konohamaru's head, knocking him to the ground without causing him to move. The kid who had punched him in the crotch appeared to have knocked him out. Konohamaru, however, disproved our theory by slowly rising again with his face to the ground and standing there in silence while blood trickled from his head and onto the floor. When he suddenly turned to face the children who had already stood up, his face was a complete mess, covered in blood, and his psychotic grin only made it worse. What was worse was that he was reacting to his attackers with a ridiculous amount of bloodlust. I sensed Kuromaru pulling at my sleeves. "First brother, you ought to assist him. He is the grandson of the Hokage." To be honest, I don't want to get involved in this, but I had 2 bills to pay the Hokage, so I figured I might as well pay one now. As soon as we entered the scene, we appeared behind Konohamaru, and the 3 children were appalled. As Kuromaru glared at them, I assumed a menacing stance, holding despair on my shoulders and grinning ominously. I could have simply frightened them away with my smile, but instead I let loose my bloodlust, and they instantly fled the scene, screaming like a bitch about a demon. After that, I looked into Konohamaru's eyes and into mine, and I have to say that he is one stubborn bastard. He was still standing and was bleeding profusely. "Go home, kid, and wash your face of blood," I said as I turned to leave him. I gestured to Kuromaru, "Let's go home," after 2 hours. We were on our way home when we came to the Forest of Death's entrance. Kuromaru pointed to the child who was following him and said, "First brother, I think you should really take care of that." It was Konohamaru. He was still bleeding and all, but this time he was grinning cheekily rather than with the psychotic grin he had displayed at the alley. "Konohamaru, what do you want?" I inquired. His smile widened even wider. "I want you to make me strong, just like you." Konohamaru's point of view. In my brief life, my parents were the most awesome ninjas I have ever encountered. Both of them belonged to our village's renowned infiltration unit. They were also professionals in their field as members of the infiltration unit. In terms of personality and fighting style, Dad and Mom were complete opposites. Then Dad was a berserker and Mom was an assassin. During their academy days, they were referred to as a loud-mouthed asshole and a vicious bitch, respectively. Dad had such a distinctive fighting style that his opponents were afraid to engage him in combat. It was our Sarutobi clan's traditional taijutsu. Even the Hyuga were hesitant to fight us because of how effective it was. The art of the asshole is what Mom called it, but others called it dirty fighting. Yes, the fighting was dirty. However, it was absolutely fantastic. My dad was the only one who could make it look artistic by punching him in the groin, hurling dirt in his eyes, striking him in the liver, and using any other unethical tactics. Dad used to boast that he had been ambushed by 10 Iwa ninjas and had emerged unscathed. And all of the Iwa ninjas were on the ground, clutching their balls and groaning in agony. I wanted to learn the fighting style because I was so impressed by it. Dad, however, stifled that notion by claiming that his mother would hang his severed head in the living room. Mom was a very frightening woman. I recalled that Mom had been assigned to destroy a bandits' camp on one of her lonesome missions. Although she completed the mission, she returned with 2 sacks full of decapitated and disfigured heads for confirmation. For the person confirming the mission, that was extremely distressing. In any case, I tried to convince Mom, but she refused. I therefore had to employ my unique method. I showed it to her, making the saddest face I could manage. Her will seems to be faltering. Oh no, she is good. I shed a few tears and said, "Now for the cream on top, please." Mom let out a sigh. I prevailed. I had already left when she said, "Okay, but don't overdo it, okay?" Yahoo! Well, the training was dull at first. My father explained the philosophy of the art of the asshole to me while we were sitting in the living room. Honor is a fool's prize. Glory is of no use to the dead. It sounded like content protected by copyright, however, it did demonstrate its goal. In a battleground, it was sufficient to be alive in order to survive and kill another day. We, the Sarutobi clan, are therefore regarded as the most dreaded adversaries to encounter on a battlefield. We are innately capable of fighting wars. We absorb everything that has to do with war, whether it be short-term or long-term, hit-and-run warfare, ambushes, or anything else associated with it. We used to be known as the barbaric warmongers, before the Sarutobi clan vowed to be a loyal clan of Konoha. Giving up was never an option for us. You either live as a coward, or die and be reborn in the bloody and glorious battlefield. All members of the Sarutobi clan are fierce, courageous, and prone to anger. Our arrival on the battlefield was always the first, and our departure was always the last. We still lacked the strength to make all the elemental nations bow down to us, even with such a cool title. There are currently just 5 Sarutobi clan members remaining across all elemental nations. Apart from that, it was enjoyable to train with Dad. Sucker punch. Dad savagely struck my face with a sucker punch. Fun despite the pain. In order to blind him, I grabbed a fistful of dirt and threw it at his eyes. I took advantage of the opportunity to kick his crotch viciously. Ball crusher. Oh, the taste of revenge is sweet. Dad fell to the ground, writhing on the ground and moaning in agony as both hands covered his crotch. Dad's dream of becoming the Hokage never went away, but because he was ineligible, his dream was unable to materialize. Your son will fulfill your dream of becoming Hokage, so don't worry, Dad. Since they brought me into the world, I wanted to make them proud. All I can hope for is that they are still here. Everything in me was broken that night. They passed away. They died like rats instead of in a glorious manner. Not even their bodies were found. I merely gazed at the empty coffins intended for my parents during the funeral. Why? I asked myself, why did they have to kill my parents? I've never hated anyone so intensely. Instead of killing them, I wanted to gut the offender and hang his internal organs on a wall. I met him while I was deep in my gloomy thoughts. I heard a cold, deep voice in my head. I heard "Ya" loud and clear, bro. They took something from us and we will not rest until their guts are spilt from their bowels. Who are you? I inquired. My inner voice laughed and said, I am you. Just a darker version of yourself. Kumo. Recall that you created a monster on this day. The days following a funeral were rather dull. Uncle Asuma received training at the fire temple. I was also left on my own to train. I had given the dark voice in my head the name Shiro. Ya no, we gotta find some better training methods if we're going to gut those Kumo scums. He was one of my split personalities, and it was entirely unclear how he came to be. Not even he knew. Shiro was a really fascinating individual. In addition to accepting my parents as his own, he had a strange but passable accent, and above all he was a huge pervert. He constantly tries to tarnish my innocent conscience about people of the other sex. However, the Sarutobi warmongering spirit of wreaking havoc and causing war is what unites us. I can go to the ninja library, but I'm not sure if they are compatible with the art of the asshole. According to Shiro, fair enough. Since it was already evening and most people, with the exception of those who work at night, would stop with their business, we were walking through Konoha's deserted streets. I bumped into someone by accident because I was too preoccupied talking to Shiro. I tried to move on, ignoring the incident. However, a hand caught my shoulders and pulled me toward the shadowy alleys. Look what we have here, an arrogant Sarutobi. 3 older children were present, most likely recent academy enrollees. Just because your Gramps is the Hokage you think you can just walk away from the future Hokage. I couldn't help but snicker at Shiro's folly as he laughed hysterically in my head. A punk just said something that you should hear, haha. I tell you, this is pure gold. Wow, just wow. That was the most embarrassing shit I heard in my life, I laughed. What did you just say? Growled the group leader. You don't automatically become the Hokage just because you wanted to be one. You think that you, an ass like you can become Hokage? Dream on. They challenged me, saying, you want to fight punk. The other 2 prepared themselves in their own fighting position. Bro, I want to taste blood. Let me talk about them. Shiro was prepared for combat already. For this moment, I was also lacking. My first actual, bloody altercation, it was impossible for me not to smile at them. However, they appeared somewhat alarmed by my smile. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's get the fight started. The bottle's excitement was so delightful. I was powerless to stop myself. The blood tasted so delicious when I bit that guy's scalp that I wanted to rip it off to get a better taste. My desire to fight was heightened even after I was struck and blood was streaming from my head. We switched consciousness because Shiro also wanted to enter the battlefield. He took control of my body and enjoyed repeatedly beating that guy's face. Shiro wasn't prepared to return to the battle, but I wanted to. We had to go into our semi-conscious state as a result. Together, we created something that will haunt the elemental world for a long time to come. He was half conscious and I was half conscious. However, this was the result of instinct alone. I had no idea how we accomplished it. We were engaged in a face-off as the altercation reached its peak. Except for us, who were just smiling maniacally at them, they were glaring at us. Suddenly, however, something dark and twisted appeared behind us. It was so dark that it seemed capable of obscuring the darkness itself. The object standing behind us made the 3 of them look horrified. They screamed and ran away, tucking their tails between their legs. I looked in the direction of the shadowy figure behind us. The tall, blonde human had a big smile on his face. A frightening black one-horned bull stood next to him. The smiling demon gave me a curious look, but the blonde human said no. However, he quickly departed. Shiro told me, "Bro, follow him. I have a gut feeling that he can strengthen us. Power. He can provide me with that, which is what I need right now." So I went with him. I followed him despite the constant flow of blood from my head, and I grinned when he asked what I wanted. "I want you to make me strong, just like you." Naruto's point of view. "I want you to make me strong, just like you." My ears seemed to be blocked, so I used my pinky finger to clean both of my ears. I said, "Say that again. I want you to make us strong, just like you." "All right." I scratched my head, trying to figure out how to handle this strange encounter because today is a strange day. He simply switched from me to us. Strange. Just as Naruto opened his mouth to speak, Konohamaru bowed deeply. "Please accept us as your student. You already want to be my student, even though I don't know you that well. What am I supposed to teach you?" Kuromaru pulled at my blouse. "First brother, reject him, he's not right in the head." I noticed that Konohamaru was talking to himself when I looked at him. I agree with that. I better reject him and tell him to go home. After clearing my throat, I faced Konohamaru. "Look, kid, I don't know what you see in me that you want to be my student. But I'm not a very good person. Never was and never will be. So if you just want to learn something about fighting, I highly recommend you learn it from someone else." Smiled. "Oh, don't worry, we can learn to fight by ourselves. All we want is to become stronger so that we can destroy Kumo. And you, we have a feeling that you can give us that strength. Besides, we are very competitive. From now on you are our rival. We believe that you will be very strong in the future and we want to surpass you and then we'll become Hokage. Well, take a look at what we have. Kumo is being destroyed by another brother. Not too bad. He's short as fuck, obnoxious, and conceited, but he can do his best with my help." After 2 hours, together with Konohamaru and his other self, Shiro, we were having a great dinner. Kuromaru and I questioned him about why he kept us. Split personalities were the cause. Although Shiro was a darker version of Konohamaru, they appeared to be nearly identical, with the exception that Shiro had a strange accent and was extremely perverted. "You can sleep here for the night. We'll discuss about you being my student the next day." After spending the night asleep, we got up early. We are currently at the Hokage's office, standing in front of him. Konohamaru nodded when Hiruzen said, "So you want to be his student?" With a long sigh, the elderly Hokage cried out, "I'm too old for this shit." "Okay, look, Konohamaru. I don't know why you want Naruto to teach you, but I could just assign someone to personally train you. Dad always tell me that I should trust my guts and my guts tells me that big brother Naruto can teach me something useful." Hiruzen let out another sigh before turning to face me. "I know this is too much for me to ask, but can you be his teacher, Naruto-kun?" I gave him a smile that betrays malice. "Don't worry, he is in good hands. I will shape him into a monster that will frighten all of the elemental nations. Anyone who hears his name will be terrified. I'll transform him into a terrible, heartless, and ruthless war demon. The only thing left to do is how to do it. I'll give it some thought. Well, screw it, I'll simply follow the current." After 2 hours, we recently completed our daily training, and Konohamaru also participated. Our training was extremely challenging. I gave Konohamaru the gravity seal, which produced twice the normal gravity, whereas Kuromaru and I received 3 times. Since Kuromaru and I had been doing this training regimen for a while, all we were left with was a lot of sweat and excruciating pain throughout our entire body. With Shiro included, however, that was not the case for Konohamaru. Breathing heavily, they were laid face down on the ground. Shiro and Konohamaru repeatedly switched their thoughts while hurling curses one after the other. In agony, Konohamaru moaned, "F hash at dollar hash at dollar dollar dollar." Not long after, Shiro's voice said, "Mother hash dollar at hash dollar hash at dollar hash at dollar at." Oh no. This is the first time I've seen someone who can curse more effectively than me, even though I usually curse a lot. "First brother, are you going to give them the aura?" Kuromaru inquired. "Yeah, I am going to give them. I have great plans for them. I don't think they're ready yet, not now at least. I'm giving them right now, of course." "What did you mean when you said they weren't ready?" "When I say they're ready, they are." I screamed, "Get up, it's just day 1, at them." After forcing themselves to sit, they cursed once more. With a serious expression, I said, "Okay, stop swearing. I have something really important to tell you." My abrupt seriousness caused Konohamaru to stiffen. I gave him a thorough explanation of aura, and how it would support him in his search for strength. I touched his head with my palm and began to channel the aura's flow toward Konohamaru and my palm. I'm doing the same thing to Konohamaru that I did to Kuromaru 3 years ago. My vision darkened suddenly. What on earth is happening? When the darkness passed, I was met with a huge gate and a huge fox that was soundly asleep. He was snoring, too. I screamed, "What the hell, Kurama?" at the enormous monster. I was annoyed because I was working on a crucial task. The enormous fox awoke from his sleep and gave me a displeased glance. "Oh," he said boredly, "it's just you." I sarcastically said, "Can the great Kurama tell me why I'm here?" He merely pointed his claws behind me and huffed at me, as though he didn't want to expend energy on me. I've already identified the person. "Long time no see, you motherfucker." It is when was the last time we talked? 2 years, I guess. I was given this power 3 years ago by the same black fog entity, and each time he came in front of me, he gave me crucial information about the power. "What do you want to tell me this time?" "Nothing much, just here to inform you that you are currently trying to kill the young lad whom you were trying to give the gift I gave you." What do you mean by I'm trying to kill him?" The hazy thing smiled eerily at me. "You see, the lad is not ready yet." "The fuck? How is he ready yet? I saw him trashing 3 older kids by himself. If he can take a beating and still beat back, I say he is more than ready." It felt so sarcastic when the hazy entity nodded as though to say, "You're kinda right about that." "Ah, yes, mentally, he is ready, but physically, I'm not sure about that. His body is too fragile for aura transfer. Konohamaru has enough willpower, anger, mental strength, and all the other philosophical inner strength bullshit, and he also has Shiro," so I said, "I get it now. However, he has a really severe psychopathic mental illness and is only a 3-year-old brat physically." I said he was ready, but why? Since I didn't know his name, I'll just call him Fog. By the way, Fog, what could happen as I transferred aura into his body? A dark, hazy thing with a hazy body. The Fog. It's the ideal name, huh? My name is not Fog, but I don't mind a nickname. Fog tilted his confused head, saying, "And back to your question, the young lad will explode." "Huh?" I exclaimed. "What do you mean he's going to blow up?" "Let me enlighten about aura. Aura is very violent, that is in its nature. It came not from this world, and from where it came from, nothing is peaceful. It inherited the location's nature and thrived. Aura is like a symbiotic creature, it feeds on you and in turn it grants you protection. But aura, unlike any other symbiotic organisms, it's very picky to which host it chooses. They preferred hosts that are very violent in nature, a body that have experienced many near-death encounters, and most importantly your permission to be your fellow brother." I smiled. "Okay. I get the part till the point you said that they need my permission to be my brother. Why do they exactly need my permission? Why, brother, to be exact. Why not sister? Isn't that a bit sexist, Fog?" Fog pointed his finger at me in a very deliberate, creepy manner. "Your aura is the parent. The one in that one-horned bull of yours is a child of your aura. As you transfer your aura to another creature, the aura inside the said creature becomes a child to your aura. As a parent, your aura is significantly stronger than its offspring. That is basically it. That's why the creature who is to receive aura from you must have loyalty that is compared to brotherhood. And also, females cannot receive aura as their bodies are biologically weaker than males." "I never knew you were a sexist, Fog," Naruto said, casting a disillusioned glance at Fog. Returning to reality after opening his eyes, Naruto turned to face Konohamaru, who was observing him with interest. "What happened?" inquired Konohamaru. "Well, you're not ready." "Huh." For Konohamaru, it was a huge disappointment, but what can I do? Thus, we had to start over. We have no choice but to carry on with the training. "Why in the world are you staring at me, Konohamaru?" In Kumo. A large group of Kumo ninjas, perhaps 200 in number, were seated on the floor of an underground room. Since they were all there for the same reason, there was tension in the air. One ninja asked his fellows, "You think this is a good idea?" His comrade retorted, "I'm not really sure, man. This is basically treason." That made everyone feel depressed. When a strong voice said, "I'm sure of one thing," every ninja in the room turned to face the speaker, and their expressions instantly brightened. This gathering was hosted by A, the son of the Raikage. As he approached the group of ninjas, he exuded strength and authority with every step. "I'm not a saint, but I'm not a warmonger either. I have seen and participated in a war myself, and trust me, it was literally a living hell. I watched many of my friends and comrades being slaughtered like animals. No matter how much peace we all want, we all know that there is no such thing as peace. Justice will not be given to you all. Not as long as my father sits on that throne of his, he went on. Every ninja in the room concurred with his statement. They were all aware of the current Raikage's ambition to establish a strong village and his cruel treatment of those with strong bloodlines. He occasionally experimented with the bloodlines of ninjas and villagers, ruining many lives, some of which were very close to them. Nobody dared to stop him, even though they all wanted to. There were too many people who were loyal to him and obeyed his commands. Dogs that bark a lot and bite even more forcefully. Furthermore, he was too strong himself. How could they possibly take on a man who could defeat a tailed beast without a weapon and escape unscathed? This is suicide. I saw the sadness on everyone's faces. I promise you that when this over, you will all get the justice you want, because justice belongs only to those who win the battle. So I ask you this, will you stand by my side and rise up to dethrone my father and all his loyal goons? Or will you sit here and do nothing while my father destroys everything you love? So are you with me? Almost instantly, the sadness that was on everyone's faces vanished. They all got to their feet resolutely. This marked the start of the Third Raikage's oppressive reign coming to an end. After 5 months, the three strange individuals saw a one-horned bull Kuromaru, a violent psychopath named Konohamaru, and a frightening blonde named Naruto arrived at the Forest of Death. After a lengthy and grueling training session, the three were eating lunch. Kuromaru had a sack full of smoked beef, Konohamaru had 5 extra large bowls of ramen, and Naruto was grinning broadly as he ate the bento that Hinata had given him. That was completely inappropriate. You see, there are some people in life who shouldn't be smiling. Not everyone has the ability to smile beautifully. After 3 years of training for Kuromaru and 5 months for Konohamaru, they were well aware that bright smiles, Naruto, equals? Bright smiles and Naruto don't mix well, as you can see. It was a terrible image. Why did Naruto have such a radiant smile, as though the sun itself couldn't outshine him? Well, his bento contains the solution. Hinata was the best cook in the village, according to the Hyuga household as a whole. Not even the members of the Akamichi clan could compete with her. The fact that she is only 6 years old is even more astounding. When Kuromaru and Konohamaru saw Naruto eating Hinata's bento, they were envious and drooling, and all they could do was gulp loudly. They wanted to request a small bite from Naruto, however, they were afraid to say it, particularly in his presence. Kuromaru knew firsthand that the most lenient punishment would be to lose an arm with a chopstick, or to never steal someone's lunch, especially Naruto's, especially when Hinata was serving it. The hard way was for Konohamaru. They were eating lunch after training 2 months ago. After inhaling Naruto's bento's divine scent, Konohamaru was unable to restrain himself and proceeded to eat a piece of pork. After that, there was silence for 30 seconds. Everyone has their favorite food, regardless of how much they claim to like any food as long as it is edible. Furthermore, Naruto's favorite food is pork, which is unfortunate for Konohamaru. Naruto simply applied an iron claw to Konohamaru's skull out of mercy. Now that they have learned their lesson, all they can do is watch and drool with jealousy as Naruto devours his lunch. I hope I can have a small bite of that bento. Kuromaru and Konohamaru both wished in their minds. Naruto stood in front of Konohamaru after a substantial lunch. The latter was sitting in a lotus position, concentrating hard to endure the alleged suffering that lay ahead. With a, "You better be," expression on his face, Naruto said, "Okay, Konohamaru, I hope you're ready." "I was born ready," exclaimed Konohamaru enthusiastically. "You better be, because we didn't spend 5 months for nothing, you know," Kuromaru replied. I know. Naruto put his palm on Konohamaru's head and remarked, "Well, here it goes nothing." Konohamaru inhaled deeply and closed his eyes. He was prepared now. Suddenly, Naruto said, "You know, there is still a 50% chance that you could explode, right?" "Nani? What?" Konohamaru's vision abruptly darkened. He could feel the power coursing through his body, which was incredibly intoxicating, but he could also feel his strength ebbing away, as though he could sense the lunch in his stomach quickly going away and making him hungry. That must have been the first backlash he mentioned. He overcame the hunger by using all of his willpower, and in a few more seconds, he would gain immense strength. He could already envision what he could do with this newfound strength. He was hungry, tired, and his body felt so weak that he thudded to the ground, face down. "You still alive?" Naruto asked, jabbing a stick into Konohamaru's still body. With weakness, he exclaimed, fuck yeah. How are you feeling? Not much, just a sense of hunger and fatigue. The suggestion from Kuromaru was to have some ramen. Naruto agreed, saying, not a bad idea. I'll have some extra large miso ramen. Kuromaru continued, I want extra large beef ramen. That's cannib. I am aware that it is cannibalism. Okay, Konohamaru, what do you want? Whatever the two of you ordered, I'll take 5 bowls. Naruto picked up Konohamaru and carried him piggyback style, saying, all right, let's get going. Third brother, welcome to the demon family, at the ramen shop in Tuchi. Hey, old man. It's your usual clients, Naruto exclaimed as he walked into the store. Hello, my loyal customers. I assume you'll have the usual. What happened to the young man on your back, by the way? Oh him? As he placed Konohamaru on a chair, Naruto uttered those words. After a lengthy training session, he is simply hungry. Naruto then drank a glass of water in response. Training, huh? You want to be a ninja or something, Tuchi remarked. Naruto shattered the glass on his hand right away. No, he said in a tone devoid of emotion. This behavior surprised Tuchi, but he made an effort to maintain his composure. You appear to despise them greatly. They were the ones who had doomed my life from the beginning. Why shouldn't I harbor hatred? You are aware that not all of them are bad. There were many different types of ninjas in the ninja. If you can identify them, you can still find some valuable items in a trash can. I am aware of that. As he considered Hinami, Heishi, and Hizashi, Naruto uttered those words. Neji, the tomboy Tenten, and Hinata, the future ninjas, came next. They are skilled ninjas and always will be. He said, you know, old man, why does it seem that you don't show even a moment that you hate me like everyone in this village? The old man had never treated him unfairly or given him those hateful looks since he first entered this shop. He simply treated him fairly and smiled sympathetically. Tucci laughed heartily and said, why'd I always hate my regular customers, especially the ones that pay me well? Well, that one item. Naruto laughed and uttered those words. Old man, that was a lie. You're not telling me, but I know there's another reason. They placed their orders on the floor for Kuromaru and in front of them. Itadakimasu. After eating a substantial meal, they returned home feeling full and stuffed. They had already prepared Konohamaru's new room at the pit, but it was unoccupied. However, hey, it had a futon. Good night. As he fall asleep, Konohamaru said. He entered the dreamland after a few seconds. He wasn't in the dreamland, though. He was having a deep mental dialogue with Shiro. Dude, you had an incredible day. Shiro shouted with excitement. Brother, I felt everything. Konohamaru remarked. I had a positive feeling as something entered me. You know, that sounded really obscene. In Konohamaru's mind, an unidentified voice said, it's very vulgar indeed. Shiro and Konohamaru turned to face the intruder. Who the hell are you? Naruto's point of view. I searched the area around the pit for something before I went in, and I found nothing unusual. I checked for any traps I had set and discovered that they had not been touched. I checked every available corner and found nothing. I checked for trails but found none, and finally I nodded my head in agreement with today's report. Report for today. The pit is secure. I had to come up with some counter-stalker plans because I was being stalked like crazy by ninjas for the past 3 years following Hinami-san's assassination attempt. I can't get a break from these guys. The years I spent getting to know Konoha's streets weren't in vain. Suppressing my chakra and avoiding my stalker's gaze was easy for me because I know every inch of Konoha like the back of my hand. It was like trying to find a needle in a huge haystack. I have been at level 6 in Fuinjutsu for 3 years. It was a difficult but rewarding endeavor. I made a very helpful error when creating storage scrolls, and I'm not sure what happened to me, but I had this crazy idea to try something new. I hope to get a scroll that functions like a bomb that explodes and shoots out projectiles like shurikens, kunais, nails, rocks, etc. to further damage the enemy, but I failed to get the desired result when I combined a storage scroll with an explosion scroll. I bet that would sell for a lot of money. However, I created something even scarier. The booby trap I created might be the most hazardous one ever created. It was a self-destruct add-on for a modified storage scroll. Don't be fooled by the straightforward language, even though it doesn't sound frightening. You're dead as soon as this scroll touches you because it will store you inside. The storage scroll is based on the theories of space and time, according to the Fuinjutsu book. When it is activated, it transports an object to a distinct space that the scroll creates, stores it, and allows the object to be removed whenever desired. That's all a storage scroll does. What happens to the content? I don't give a fuck. The one I made sends any unfortunate victim to the separate space, after which the explosion scroll will activate instantly, destroying both the content and the space the scroll created. With the help of 7 layers of booby traps and the dense vegetation, I was able to hide the scrolls in every possible location close to the pit. The pit is the safest place to hide inside Konoha, and I now have the only safest way to get to this area of the forest. It never hurts to be more cautious. I'm not being overly cautious or paranoid, it's just a habit you develop when you are the target of the entire village. These are merely a warning to avoid tampering with me. I always live by the maxim, you fuck with me, I'll fuck you even harder. I laughed at my current situation as I lay down on my futon, remembering everything that had happened that day. I have become selfless, haven't I? Like hell I am. Because of what they attempted to take from me 3 years ago, I detested the Kumo. From the moment of my birth, this hypocritical village has given me nothing but loneliness, hatred, disgust, torture, and potentially permanent scars. When I finally saw a ray of light in the long, dark tunnel, I was ecstatic. However, some idiots attempted to extinguish that light in front of my eyes. My life was like a long, dark tunnel, and I had spent 6 years walking through it. Everything seemed so gloomy, as if my future was nothing but eternal darkness. I became furious and killed the offender in the most heinous ways imaginable. I had to control my desire to murder them in the same manner that I killed the Kumo ambassador after learning that the village itself had used my light beam as bait. Even though I eventually adapted to the treatment, I still longed for a light, a warm light, and when I finally found it, this ray of light illuminated the dark tunnel, giving me strength, hope, and warmth. I have been walking inside the dark tunnel known as my life for 6 years. At first, I was grateful that I had survived to see the next day. But now I want to live and make sure that this ray of light never dies but instead gets stronger and brighter until it is so bright that the sun's radiance can never match it. And for that reason, I will stop at nothing to keep this light safe. However, there are too many enemies to defeat. Since neither Kuromaru nor I are a one-man show, I will assemble my own supporters, those who will never turn on Maya and, if necessary, use fear to keep them faithful. An effective weapon is fear, which is faster than an arrow, harder than a warhammer, and sharper than a blade. There are currently 2 loyal allies of mine. Even though Kuromaru and I are not of the same race, our brotherhood is unbreakable, and I would risk my life for him because I know he would do the same for me. I can hardly call Konohamaru a human anymore. He is more or less a monster in human form. He would challenge me repeatedly and take a good beating from me, but he would keep coming back, but better than before. Shiro and Konohamaru are strange creatures that exude violence and arrogance. I have had very little experience fighting humans in the past, so this can also be very helpful. I had to add the word, fear, to his dictionary because it doesn't exist there. There is no such thing as honor or fairness in a fight, there is only a winner and a loser, and the winner lives while the loser dies. They never fight fairly and always use unfair tactics to win, and I like that. I repeatedly reminded him that they can be arrogant if they know who they are dealing with and know how to silence them. In other words, if you are proud of your abilities, support them with your actions as well as your words. Their arrogance may be a problem, but it wasn't unfounded. Apart from that, they are very stubborn, which can be very helpful. I taught him everything he needed to know to survive during the last 5 months of training. You know, it seems pretty stupid of me to teach a brat that I know almost nothing about. However, I also have reasons for that. I intend to make him a living manifestation of fear, and I doubt the Hokage will permit me to do so to his grandson. So he had better be ready for even more rigorous training now that I have already given him aura. This old man is too good for his health, so I lied to him and told him that Konohamaru would stay with me for as long as he was training with me so that I could supervise him nicely and we wouldn't interfere with his duties. He reluctantly agreed that Konohamaru should write him a letter once a week and that I would have to update him on Konohamaru's training progress. As usual, I wrote a report that was mostly lies with a few truths thrown in, and neither the Hokage nor any of the council members should be aware of this, especially when it comes to aura. The less people knew about the aura, the better. It's a weird and dangerous power. I probably wouldn't give to more than 2 people the next time. Maybe Hinata and Neji are the best, but they're too nice, and their parents wouldn't let it happen, and I don't want to tell them lies either. It was a long day, so I'm going to bed now, after a few seconds. Snore Naruto's point of view, Naruto-kun, an angelic voice spoke. I looked back and saw it was Hinata. She was sitting on a flower-filled meadow, beaming at me with her lovely smile. The scene It was really intoxicating. As I approached her slowly, I detected a subtle scent of lavender and pork. I noticed a picnic basket at a picnic, huh? She makes me feel so warm, so I sat next to her and just enjoyed her company. Although they will look great on her, I picked one of the flowers from the ground. It was a lily. I smiled at her sincerely as I put the flower in her hair. You look so gorgeous. Hinata turned her head away from me and flushed. She gave me a shy look and said, Naruto-kun, would you mind sleeping on my thigh? I gasped at the unexpected turn of events. This is moving too quickly. Who am I to complain, though? I essentially moved to her thigh. I rest my head on her velvety legs. Man, this is the real thing. However, the service continued. She ruffled my hair a bit with her gentle fingers. This is unquestionably heaven, if there is such a place. Thank you for everything, Naruto-kun. I headed it all, Hinata muttered. Anything for you? I asked, and she burst out laughing. However, I was taken aback when I noticed her approaching me, her face edging closer to mine, her eyes closed, and her lips just a bit closer to mine. First brother, I have some exciting news for you. The fuck? It was merely a dream. I leapt out of bed and headed straight for the door, which I opened to reveal Konohamaru. First brother, take a look at this, I have a new one. You looked like a jerk. You deserve an iron claw for ruining my dream, so why don't you come and let me show you how angry I am? A loud cry of pain echoed through the entire forest of death that morning. It sounds like a cry of pain. HMPH, who cares about that? People die in this forest every time. What was that? Anko asked herself while eating her favorite dango, sitting near the edge of the forest. Konohamaru was stroking Naruto's sore head as he relaxed. Now, what do you want to tell me? Konohamaru immediately responded, ignoring the pain in his head. Oh yeah, that's right. After clearing his throat, Konohamaru said, May I present to you? Pausing for a dramatic effect, seemingly anticipating a drumroll, Hester. He entered a daze right away, indicating that he had switched consciousness with whoever this Hester guy was. Mr. Naruto, my name is Hester. Is it as simple as finding pebbles on the road for people to develop multiple personality disorder? Anything I should know? I asked without showing any interest because I already had a bad mood this morning and I don't want to make it worse. You see, I have other things to worry about and I don't have time for this crap. As long as this Hester fellow doesn't cause me any trouble, that's fine. That necklace on your neck. Hester pointed to the sunflower-shaped necklace that was fastened to my neck with white thread. The necklace was a gift from Hinata for my birthday last year, and it's special because it was made by Hinata herself. She carved the sunflower out of a piece of wood with her tiny, delicate hands, and the cute, uneven paint job was so adorable. She even got a small cut on her finger while making it, and she said that this flower reminds her of me because my hair and the petals are the same color. She finished it by sticking a small picture of me and her playing on the swing. I would say, over my dead body, in response to someone asking me how much I would like to sell this necklace. I would then break at least half of that person's teeth for even posing the question. This necklace is extremely valuable and represents greatness. On you, this necklace looks awful. I believe I heard it incorrectly. Such rudimentary and immature workmanship. I'm sure it was constructed by a novice artist. No, that individual should not be referred to as an artist. That would damage the reputation of all artists. Silence fell. Shiro and Konohamaru swallowed in terror at the impending agony. This Hester, Konohamaru neglected to mention, was an honest mana, brutally honest, to be precise. Mr. Naruto, you appeared quite irate over something. I assume it was the necklace. I can recommend some neck pieces that would suit your style. My face. Once more that morning, a cry of pain sounded throughout the forest of death. In Kumo, as the whole Kumo village gazed up at the summit of the Raikage's tower, they saw an imposing figure of A, bruised and covered in blood, accompanied by his brother, Killer B, who was in the same state as his older brother. A lifted his right arm high enough in the air for everyone to see what he was holding. When A grabbed the decapitated head of his father, the former Raikage, with his right hand, the ninjas gasped. With the head of the third Raikage on my right hand, I declare that IA will be the fourth Raikage going forward. Hear me, citizens of Kumo. A said loudly, today we are free from the shackles of the past that haunted us for many years. The crowd of ninjas and civilians who were ecstatic that the time of oppression was finally over, as well as those who were crying with joy, created a loud cheering and applause. A man was amusedly observing the scene from a rooftop while donning an orange swirly mask with an eye hole on the right side. Unfortunately, his time was up sooner than I had anticipated, but my work here is already finished. He began to sink. It was time to go on to the next location. You are next, Hidden Mist Village. Sunday was a rest day for our warriors who lived in pits. Sunday was the day they would unwind and enjoy a day without attempting to kill themselves literally after a 6-day training regimen. A figure with a picnic basket and a fishing rod came out of the pit. It's the ideal day for fishing, Konohamaru said. Do you even know how to fish, bro? Shiro asked, his expression doubtful. You know, fishing takes a lot of patience, Hester remarked, and I doubt you have it. You wounded my sentiments, brothers, Konohamaru uttered in a phony, distressed tone. First of all, I never claimed that we were brothers, Hester remarked. Secondly, do you feel anything at all, you psychopath? Konohamaru said, come on, don't say that. Shiro added, calm down, man. You've been stuck with us for a long time. You might as well call us brothers. Additionally, even though I am a psychopath, I do have feelings. Rewind. Bleed Motherfucker. Bleed. Konohamaru screamed in agony as he stabbed Naruto, fortunately, before being rendered helpless by Naruto's iron claw. Flashback conclusion. Hester shuddered at the memory of that moment. Naruto's use of an iron claw made him fearful of both the move and the person who used it on him. However, this is indifferent to Konohamaru. This guy is emotionless. All right, we're here, Konohamaru said as he stood on the river's bank. The river was a frightful one. The water was pure, but the rapids were extremely powerful, and the tall trees that encircled it blocked out most of the sun, giving the impression that a monster might suddenly appear and kill you. However, aside from that, look at those fish, bruh, exclaimed Shiro in a delighted comment. Due to the fact that all of the fish in this river are carnivorous, it is said that over 200 ninjas have been killed by it alone. The river was very deep and home to many large fish. The bait was a piece of flesh from a chakra rat, and Konohamaru threw the line to the roaring rapids while sitting on a massive rock at the river's edge. We'll wait now, Konohamaru said. It's going too slowly. Konohamaru spoke in a disinterested tone. His virtue was never patience. What's in the picnic basket, by the way? Hester inquired. He and Shiro were both unaware that Konohamaru had planned the entire fishing operation while they were asleep. Hee, get ready to be astounded, Konohamaru said in a cunning tone. He reached into his basket with his free hand and removed a piece of neatly tied cloth that held something. You're kidding, aren't you? Hester was astonished. This is nonsense, are you mentally insane? He let out a scream. There were several cookies inside the piece of cloth. They weren't your typical cookies. It was Hinata who baked them. He would prefer to eat a rock over them, even if they were delicious, because he would be struck by an iron claw if he did. He will never make the same mistake twice because he learned from it. All right. Shiro was overjoyed. Not you either. If Mr. Naruto discovers, he will murder you both, Hester protested. Calm down, buddy. Shiro comforted him by saying, I recall that there were 2 bowls full of them back at the pit, so it's just a handful. Furthermore, you will die with us if he does kill us, you know. As the saying goes, if I go to hell, I'll drag you to hell along with me. Hester paled at that, despite the fact that he and them are 2 different people, trapped on the same body. Okay, I'll take the first bite. As he brought a cookie closer to his mouth, Konohamaru exclaimed, but it didn't work. I'm going to take the initial bite. With a chilly tone, Shiro said, grabbing the other hand with his other hand. They only had to watch Naruto eat with a smile on his face to realize how delicious the cookies were. They now have an opportunity, but who will get to enjoy it first? Like the devil, I will. Shiro was punched by Konohamaru. Why, you little one? Shiro came back with a punch. Dude, stop it. Both of you are acting like children. Hester attempted to halt them. Stop talking. Shiro and Konohamaru both punched Hester. That's it. Go for it, bastards. He kicked both of their faces hard, and Hester roared. You desire a piece of me. Konohamaru swung an uppercut. Eat this. A sucker punch was delivered by Shiro. They continued to fight. Looking at the scene from a different perspective, you would see a young boy punching and kicking his own face while screaming at himself. I tell you, it was really eerie. Help is desperately needed. Oi, we have something. Shiro exclaimed as he noticed their fishing rod being pulled. What? As Konohamaru strangled Hester, he asked. Something fell for the ruse. Shiro answered. All right, our lunch will be roasted fish. With all of his strength, Konohamaru pulled the fishing rod. However, the fish refused to move and instead came back stronger. That fish is really large, Konohamaru yelled. To catch this type of fish, it was best to exhaust them until they were unable to resist anymore. And they did just that. The fish was still strong after 10 minutes. Come on, Konohamaru worked hard at it. Hester gave a cheer. You're not assisting, Konohamaru bellowed. The fact that this fish is stronger than you is unbelievable. With a dejected tone, Shiro said, seemingly requesting a challenge. Oh, yes. Konohamaru agreed to take on the challenge. Taking a deep breath, he pulled the fish with all the strength he had left, even though his arms were beginning to bulge with veins. He pulled the rod with a roar. The fish took a big leap. The fish was enormous, nearly 2 meters long, and it could weigh at least. Well, who cares? They could already see a perfectly cooked, exquisitely roasted fish falling into their arms. To greet their lunch, they extend their arms, however, it never materialized. All they could see were 2 gray blurs snatching their fish as they passed over their head. They remained motionless, gazing up at the sky where their fish was supposed to fall. They turned to watch 2 gray-furred wolves gorging themselves on their lunch. They simply gazed at the 2 wolves, their expressions filled with hatred. It should be mentioned that they skipped breakfast entirely. And they were supposed to eat that fish. They have nothing now. They dropped the cookies into the rushing rapids as a result of their silly argument over them, and now they have nothing to eat. We're going to have roasted dog meat for lunch, brothers, in a somber tone, Konohamaru said. You know, I've never tried dog meat before, Shiro said as he used his wrist to wipe the saliva from his mouth. I suppose that everything has its first time. I'm not against it. I hope it'll be quite a delicacy, Hester said. The wolves saw that a human was glaring at them. They growled at them as a result. The man came back grinning maniacally. There was going to be a bloody battle, 3-personality psychopath versus 2 wolf. At the pit, in the meantime, Naruto just woke up. It was strange that he woke up at this hour, but it was because he had a lengthy chat with a hazy entity that was residing in his mind. Rewind. Inside the mindscape of Naruto. Yo Fog, Naruto shouted. It was the enormous fox behind the enormous gate that grunted. I'm attempting to take a decent nap, Kurama grunted, so please keep quiet. I can tell you want to talk to me. In a very unsettling way, Fog appeared in front of me. Yes, regarding that. This is the reason why Konohamaru had a different personality, I started, because of an adverse effect of aura transfer? You are one smart guy you know, Fog said, giving me a startled expression. He laughed. What led you to this conclusion? When Kuromaru Horn revealed to me that it was as hard as steel and my healing factor tripled in speed along with my other senses, I had my first suspicion. So, is it the aura after all? It's really straightforward, you see. You know why aura wasn't supposed to be inside a mortal's body? It's because of something called humanity that you mortals possess. Because it prevents your violent side from coming out, it limits your ability to use aura to its fullest. However, there is no humanity among your group of strange brothers. To protect your loved ones, especially that certain one, you would even go to the depths of hell. Then your one-horned bull would do anything to make you happy, and at last that insane brat. I can barely believe he's still human. You are all self-centered beings who don't give a damn about the other mortals around you as long as you're happy. Okay, I understand that, but what about the adverse effects? Naruto inquired. There is a limit to how strong you can get before you go into your eternal slumber, and you mortals are extremely fragile. Your aura had to gradually change your body, and eventually you wouldn't even recognize yourself. Single quote. The idea of getting a body modification was fantastic, but that was something to deal with later. Everyone has a limit to how much strength they can gain. Okay, I'll take care of that later, I need to get up now. Now, Kuromaru was sitting down to eat his breakfast, which was a bag of fruits, when I idly made my way to the kitchen. Good morning. I yawned in greeting. Actually, it's a good afternoon. I don't give a damn. I started eating the bowl of freshly made cookies that Hinata had given me. They're excellent, However, I felt as though something was missing, so I looked everywhere in the kitchen for it. Someone stole my belongings. I said. Kuromaru answered, you mean the cookies? You don't have to be that frugal, you know. Not that. I'm referring to the fact that the handkerchief Hinata-chan gave me 2 days ago was stolen. You refer to the handkerchief she used to wipe your perspiring face. Yes, that one. No, I have no idea. Right now, I really want to beat you. Oh, Like I had a flash of insight, I asked, "Where is Konohamaru?" "You mean them? I've heard that they went fishing." "The handkerchief is unquestionably with Konohamaru because we are the only people in this pit." "I'm heading fishing. Please bring me a large one." "Why do people constantly steal my belongings, particularly the ones Hinata gave me? That brat had better have a solid excuse ready for me because I'm going to find him and get the handkerchief back. I'm going to ruin his life if he used that handkerchief as a cookie bag." I searched for the scent of Konohamaru by sniffing the air. Having better senses was a huge plus. "And then I smelled him. I've located you," I spoke in a very somber tone. The three created an absurdly high level of bloodlust, despite the tense atmosphere and the silence and stillness that pervaded everything. "I don't want to get in the way, but we didn't bring any weapons, guys," Hester said. Two wolves stood before them, each equipped with one of nature's most formidable weapons. Fangs to tear flesh apart and claws to tear flesh. "You worry too much, brother. There are weapons all over the place." As was well known, there were dead bodies all over the forest of death, and where there are dead bodies, there are weapons. Shiro said as much. "You know, disposing of the corpses by hand was a pain. Why don't you just let nature take care of it?" There was a standoff now. Since the first to deliver a significant blow was certain to win, both sides were searching for weaknesses to take advantage of. Now, they waited for someone to launch the assault. Everyone should practice patience since it's a virtue. However, patience was never a strength of a creature like Konohamaru. Thus, he started the assault. His hands were clenched as he hurried over to the two wolves. As they formed up for the attack, the two wolves appeared to possess some intelligence. While the other wolf stood ready to follow up, the first wolf moved forward to launch an attack. Konohamaru threw a fistful of dirt at the front wolf as they approached, instantly blinding it. The one in back jumped and swung its claws at Konohamaru, but he was already expecting this and ducked under it. The wolf felt two powerful arms encircling his body and gripping it tightly while it was still in the air. In order to deal with Kuromaru, Konohamaru employed a holding technique that Naruto had taught him. The hold's unique feature was that it prevented the target from using its mouth or legs to harm the person applying it, as the wolf's body was held just behind its front legs. The wolf was rendered completely ineffectual. The wolf was fighting to break free of Konohamaru's vice grip. After months of tortuous training, Konohamaru's grip strength was sufficient to prevent the wolf from fleeing. Unexpectedly, Konohamaru lifted the wolf and nailed its head to the ground with a vicious German suplex. He rolled over while still holding the wolf, lifted it, and then gave it another German suplex, nailing it to the ground this time. For Konohamaru and the other consciousness inside his head, the sensation of using your bare hands to destroy your enemies was extremely intoxicating. He raised the wolf once more in an attempt to prolong this sensation. The third time always works like a charm, they say. He'll make sure the wolf's head breaks open this time. But he was stopped by a sharp pain on his sides. His sides were bitten by the other wolf. Though insane, the pain was not as bad as Naruto's training. He let go of one hand and attempted to strike the wolf's bare head with his elbow, but the wolf swiftly bit his arm. Konohamaru moaned in agony, but the other wolf he was holding turned and bit his shoulder before he could react. After those two attacks, how in the world is this animal already awake? In his mind, Konohamaru screamed. "You bastard, you're losing blood." Hester was in a panic. He was apparently too young to pass away. "I'm immobile," Konohamaru yelled. "I'm going to assume control," Shiro said. "Over my lifeless body. In addition, I didn't ask you to." "That's the main idea." Shiro gained control of Konohamaru's legs and struck the two wolves' family jewels with a knee strike. The two wolves let go of their savage bite and collapsed to the ground, sobbing like puppies who have been kicked. Seizing the opportunity, Konohamaru turned around and ran in the direction of a corpse, removing a katana that had been impaled to it. "I appreciate your kindness." Konohamaru bowed and thanked the corpse. He turned to face the two wolves, but they were gone. "Are they no longer there?" Hester inquired. "I can still smell them, they're close by," Konohamaru said, inhaling deeply through his nose. "Brothers, stay vigilant and let's cover each other's asses," Shiro said. "We are all in the same body, you know that. Just now, you said some dumb shit." Hester laughs. "All right, let's locate them and we—" Konohamaru was unable to finish his sentence because he was experiencing a sharp pain in his back. Konohamaru was forced to his knees by the weight of one of the wolves, which had its claws embedded in his back and intended to stay there. And before he could act, His chest began to ache sharply once more. He lifted his katana with the intention of slicing the obnoxious creature in front of him after the other wolf scratched his chest. However, he was already being choked by the wolf's jaws at his throat. Cats are typically the ones that suffocate their victims to death, but it was unheard of for a wolf to do that. Konohamaru struck the wolf's head with the katana's hilt, but it refused to move. Even Hester and Shiro were in a panic, as was Konohamaru. As Konohamaru dropped his katana, his strength left him and his vision began to blur. "Remain strong, brother," Shiro let out a scream. "Grab that katana and cut them into slices." Hester sounded like a crazy person. "I'm going to turn it on," Konohamaru remarked as he started to pull aura toward his arms, creating an aura-enabled armored hand. He could use the healing aspect of aura well, but his ability to create armor was lacking. He was only able to cover one area of his body with it. He took the wolf's head by the jaws with his armored hand, pried it out of his throat, and tossed it aside like a rag doll. He caught the other one by the throat and slammed it to the floor. In order to recuperate, he swiftly distanced himself from the wolves by a great distance while brandishing his katana. He stopped his aura just as it was about to seal the massive wound on his body, even though it had already started to heal his wounds. He recalled vividly that Naruto had advised him not to use his aura if his body was incapable of supporting it. This was the only thing he could do because he was already starving from skipping breakfast and lunch. In certain cases, being safe is preferable to being sorry or dead. As though they had suffered no harm at all, the wolves were already in the air. "You guys are such obstinate bitches," Konohamaru spoke in a weary tone. The wolves froze, glaring and baring their teeth at Konohamaru, and then their desire for blood sharply grew. "They're not bitches, in my opinion," Hester said. "You just made them angry." "Fantastic," in ecstasy, Shiro exclaimed. "This is what I've been looking forward to." Konohamaru smiled slyly as he spoke. He is a creature known as an adrenaline seeker, meaning that the more dangerous the better. Given the potential repercussions, he even ventured to steal Naruto's cherished cookies. He was thrilled to confront death head-on, deliver a low blow, then give him the finger and run away, knowing that a fight to the death was imminent. However, he exclaimed, "What the fuck am I seeing?" at the scene in front of him. The weapons were picked up by the two wolves from the nearby dead bodies and placed it in their mouths. One carried a sickle, the other a scythe. "That is the most bizarre thing I have ever seen in my entire life." Shiro uttered incredulous words. "I concur with you," Konohamaru as well as Hester answered. "This is not something you see every day." The psychopath took a rusted kunai because he felt that it was unfair to have two weapons against one. "Come on, bitches." The wolves were taunted by Konohamaru. They were more irate, which was a predictable reaction. "They resemble those rabid dogs, man. Look at their faces." Shiro made fun of them. "One thing is certain now, the fight will get bloodier still." If directed at your enemies, rage is a very helpful weapon to have in your arsenal. However, that could also be the end of you. You can inflict a lot more physical and psychological harm on your adversaries when you fight them with rage. However, your adversaries may take advantage of you if you become blinded by anger. Konohamaru had intended to do this. An irate adversary is prone to making mistakes, and he intended to take advantage of them. These wolves appeared to be able to understand human speech. It turned out to be a disguised boon. "Bitches that sniff their asses." The scythe-wielding wolves charged at Konohamaru. It leapt and launched a downward strike, but Konohamaru's borrowed katana stopped it. He struck the wolf with his kunai, but the other wolf suddenly materialized and launched a rising slash attack, which Konohamaru avoided by avoiding it within a few millimeters of his face. "Their attack strategies are too effective, bro," Shiro said. "However, they always follow the same pattern," Hester added. "Shiro, it's time to share consciousness." As the name suggests, sharing consciousness was not precisely a technique. During combat, multitasking is possible by sharing one's consciousness with another. One is engaged in combat while the other looks around for possible threats. As Konohamaru's counterattacks and the two wolves' vicious attacks continue the battle, the scythe-wielding wolf charged at Konohamaru. Konohamaru had other ideas than to defend. The wolf with the sickle was directly in front of him and in midair as he leapt over it after charging at it. He struck its guts with a spear in midair before thumping to the ground. "Oh, he let out a roar. He couldn't contain his excitement as he delivered a spear to his opponent, which is a highly addictive feeling. He grabbed the wolf by its legs and hurled it towards a rock. The wolf was unconscious at impact. One down, one to go, Hester said. Oi, be careful, Shiro let out a scream. However, the wolf with the scythe ignored his warning and struck Konohamaru's head with the blunt end of the scythe. With his vision spinning wildly, Konohamaru was reeling back. Then his face was struck bluntly again, sending him reeling back to a tree. When Konohamaru attempted to aim his gaze at the wolf, the scythe struck him again. However, it was much worse this time. Behind him, the scythe was embedded in the tree trunk, where it had impaled his body. Fuck. A mouthful of blood came out of his cough. Dude, you're reckless, Hester said. He was being growled at by the wolf that stood atop the scythe's shaft. Oh no. He is sneering at us. I feel sorry for you, Konohamaru declared. The wolf's sharp claws showed when it raised one of its front legs. The wolf appeared to be asking, any final words? Well, this is a mortifying way to pass away. The wolf's claws were getting close to Konohamaru's neck as his vision grew hazy and his eyes felt heavy. Hester seized the front leg of the wolf. The fact that this human had been impaled but was still fighting astounded the wolf. I got you, bitch. The wolf landed 20 feet away from Hester after he punched him as hard as he could. He withdrew the scythe from his body using what strength remained. When one conscience is unable to function, another can step in, which is why sharing consciousness was so beneficial. In Konohamaru's mind, the three consciousnesses collaborate too effectively. Hester served as the shield, Shiro as the scout, and Konohamaru as the damage dealer. He was tasked with protecting Konohamaru from unanticipated attacks. Even the wolf who had just witnessed the scene took 2 steps back as Hester hurried to the fish that the wolves had not yet consumed and started to eat it in a way that was so repulsive and terrifying. Hester immediately began healing the massive wounds as soon as the food filled the stomach by activating aura. In the stomach, the food began to break down incredibly quickly. The wound on Konohamaru's body was closing and healing at a startling rate as aura took in the nutrients required to begin the healing process. The body was fully recovered in a matter of seconds. A terrible scar was all that remained. Oi! Get up, you jerks! Hester awakened Shiro and Konohamaru by slapping their faces. Where am I? Heater's face caught Shiro's eye. Dude, it makes me very happy to see your ugly face. They were all three at their best now that they were all sharing a single body. They will no longer hold back and will go all out, arming themselves with the rusted kunai and the katana. They planned to take a bath in a pool of blood after this fight was over. They were being too much affected by Konohamaru's Sarutobi. In the past, the biggest issue when facing a member of the Sarutobi clan was that they never learned to give up, as if the word did not exist in their dictionary. You'd better be ready for hell, even though you might be able to beat the living daylights out of them once. Because they will attack you at the most unexpected time, and you won't even realize you've entered the afterlife until your body is returned to the mortal world with your organza including your gutsa ruthlessly removed. However, the wolf's face was unflinching as he charged at them without hesitation. The wolf tried his best to hurt the human in front of it as much as possible. However, the human sidestepped and attacked him again. It was extremely exhausted, wondering how long this human could fight. Its face was slashed by the rusted kunai, leaving a bloody wound where the blood began to flow uncontrollably. The main issue with getting cut by a rusted weapon is that it will start to get septic and, if left untreated, will probably kill you. Snatching its throat, the human slammed him to the ground. It caught it by both front paws, impaled it, and buried it in the ground. The human gave a psychopath's smile. You know, you're a real obnoxious bastard, the human said. The human was torturing the wolf by repeatedly twisting the sword. How does being stabbed so deeply feel? It hurts, doesn't it? The human said. Abruptly, however, the surrounding air grew heavy. It originated from the other wolf that Konohamaru had just knocked unconscious. Konohamaru sensed it. The amount was comparable to Naruto's when he was really insane, and it was bloodlust. Even froth was forming from the wolf's mouth as it glared at him menacingly. This is a very angry wolf. Konohamaru was thrilled rather than scared. Things are getting really spicy. Go for it. Konohamaru was prepared for impact as the wolf raced toward him at a terrifying pace. The wolf jumped into the air and prepared to use its claws to slash. But the wolf, in midair, stooped to advance. Naruto grabbed it by the face. Behind Konohamaru, Naruto held the wolf in his dreaded iron claw with an outstretched arm. Well, that's what I refer to as an entrance, Konohamaru cried out. However, Naruto did not look at him. He was, that look, at him. That expression shouted, "You'd better keep quiet or you're going to die." So he had to stop talking, of course. Konohamaru. With a chilly tone, Naruto called out to him, his eyes gradually shifting to Konohamaru's. Konohamaru was being creeped out by him. Hester and Shiro even abandoned him, hiding in the back of his mind. "Yeah, my first brother," Konohamaru stammered as he spoke. "Where is the handkerchief that I received from Hinata?" Konohamaru found the aforementioned handkerchief after frantically searching his pockets. Naruto returned the handkerchief and put it in his pocket. "I'll see you at the pit again." At that precise moment, Konohamaru realized he was screwed up. The wolf that Konohamaru had stawed with his borrowed katana was the source of the growl. The wolf picked the wrong person to attack as it rushed in Naruto's direction. It was well clawed by Naruto iron. Both of the wolves were now hanging in midair, wailing like a battered dog as they struggled to escape Naruto's hold. "Silence! You're making too much noise." Konohamaru stumbled and fell on his ass after Naruto just let out his bloodlust. Both the cries and the movements of the two wolves stooped, as though Naruto holds the key to their doom. With just his bare hands, Naruto could easily crush their skull. But he let them go, so he didn't. "First brother, will you not murder them?" Konohamaru inquired. "Not interested. To begin with, I'm in a bad mood. I don't want to get my hands dirty with wolf's brain fluids and make it worse." "All right," Konohamaru said clumsily. "Let's return to the pit." As he made his way back to the pit, Naruto remarked. "Yes, indeed." Leaving the two wolves staring at their backs, Konohamaru grabbed the katana and ran back to catch up with Naruto. After 30 minutes, Naruto let out a sigh. "All right, what do you two want?" The two wolves were behind him, one with a sickle and scythe in its mouth. Like that bowing technique known as a dogiza, the two wolves bowed low. Naruto was unable to understand the wolves' language, but they were begging for something. What the devil is happening here? He was so perplexed that Naruto scratched the back of his neck. He required a translator. He also knew someone who would be a great fit for that position. "My second brother, do you want me to translate for you?" Kuromaru inquired. "Yes. Actually, I don't speak dog speech very well. Let me see, though." "Moo," Kuromaru moaned. The wolf with the scythe answered, "Woof woof." "They want to be your subordinates," he said. Kuromaru provided a translation. "All right," said Naruto, "and why do you wish to be my subordinates?" "Woof, woof, woof. According to their pack's rules," he said, "if someone spares their life, they have to become their subordinate." "That is nonsense. First of all, you don't have to abide by your pack's foolish rule because rules were meant to be broken. In addition," Naruto gestured to the other wolf with the sickle holding it. "Why don't you say anything? For crying out loud, he's your brother." "Woof woof." Translator. "He claimed to enjoy fried pudding," Kuromaru answered. Naruto was perplexed. Was this a code of some sort? The scythe-wielding wolf slapped his face with his front paws. "Woof woof. His brother is a retard," he said. Kuromaru provided a translation. "Woof woof." The scythe-wielding wolf gave a fierce bark. "I apologize." He claimed he wasn't a moron, but, as I mentioned, I'm not fluent. The wolf had mental disabilities. Naruto came to a conclusion. "All right, you're in," Naruto proclaimed, giving a thumbs up. After a brief period of silence, the wolves joyfully wagging their tails and howling. Hold on for one damn minute." Konohamaru cut him off. "These two jerks attempted to kill me as well as steal my food." "Woof, woof, woof," scythe-wielding wolf said. "What did he say?" Konohamaru looked at Kuromaru and demanded. "It's the law of the jungle," he declared. "The weak will become the strong's food." "My ass, the law of the jungle. I could make you into dog stew right now." "Woof woof woof. You would have been torn to pieces if I had engaged in a serious fight," he said. Kuromaru translated. "Fuck off, I would have used your guts as bait for a fight if I had taken it seriously." "Woof, woof, woof," he said. "The man who was impaled to a tree says," Kuromaru translated. "You want a bitch for a rematch?" Konohamaru posed a challenge. "Woof," he said, "go for it," Kuromaru translated. Kuromaru's words caused Konohamaru and the wolf to lunge at one another. Konohamaru tried to strangle the wolf, but was unable to do so because of its thick hide. In contrast, the wolf was making every effort to bite off Konohamaru's head. "All right, you two calm down," Naruto sighed. Naruto grabbed Konohamaru and the wolf by the heads to separate them. Despite this, those two continued to punch and kick the air. Naruto was hit by a few of them. They ceased to move, their skulls colliding with a tremendous impact. That's the way to end a fight. As he lowered their still bodies to the ground, Naruto uttered those words. Naruto's recent actions horrified Kuromaru and the other wolf. Calming the crowd was one of the many strategies to break up a fight. It was not common practice to knock them out cold. They woke up with a huge bump on their forehead many minutes later. HMPH, they both turned around. All right, sit quietly while I give you names. The two wolves sat patiently, their eyes gleaming with immense expectations as Naruto said that. In Naruto's opinion, gaining a good reputation was a challenging undertaking. You got it, he said, striking his fist against his palm. You're going to be. Naruto used the scythe to point at the wolf. Akira. Naruto pointed to the wolf with the sickle and said, and you will be, Akio. The wolves let out a joyful howl. Kuromaru was a little taken aback. They were some good names, first brother. He was aware of his first brother's terrible name-giving. They rhyme correctly. What, do they rhyme? No, they don't. Do you find that problematic? Cracking his knuckles, Naruto said. No, that's what I believed. Naruto's point of view. Cheers to the youth. Might Guy shouted enthusiastically. Cheers. Rock Lee trailed behind him. Yes, cheers. Awkwardly, we all said. Why are these strange people here? We are currently celebrating at Ichiraku's ramen shop. Neji was ranked first in his class as usual on the Ninja Academy's results day to day. The congratulations go to Neji-Nisan. Hinata gave Neji a congrats. For you, that is our Neji, Tenten remarked proudly. Neji would become a certified ninja in just 4 more years. End of Naruto's POV. At the moment, Naruto was at the pit with his strange brothers. At the dinner table, they were discussing something. Brothers, you all understand what I mean when I say that we have reached a crucial point in our training, Naruto said. First brother, I understand how much you despise them, but we cannot deny that they can be exploited to our benefit. Kuromaru continued. Additionally, they look fucking awesome, Shiro cried out. I think the first brother's philosophy of simplicity is the best, sighed Akira. Are you attempting to be an attention seeker, or what? Would you like to die, bitch? Konohamaru issued a warning. If you're going to fight, fight with style, a style that demonstrates to your adversaries that they are amateurs, my father taught me. All right, you two put an end to your quarrel and, for once, sit quietly like Akio. Naruto pointed to Akio, who was silently chewing a bone. We need ninja techniques that will help us, like assassination techniques, area of effect techniques, crowd control, and you know the rest. They all understood what he meant. Certain ninja techniques are helpful in combat, while others are essentially worthless. Additionally, Naruto is looking for methods that are extremely helpful in combat. I want you all to spy on the numerous ninja clans in this large village. Utilize every tactic I taught you to eliminate your presence and return with insightful information. First, we only need a handful, not a lot. After 5 days, all right, tell me what you brought. Naruto questioned his fellow pit residents. Well, you begin first, second brother. I visited the ninja training grounds and discovered a helpful technique. What is it? They all inquired. With the help of this technique, one could climb on any surface, including water. That's quite helpful. I'm hoping you understand how they do it correctly. Yes, I'm positive I understand how they do it. After that, your second brother. Let's see, I went to my parents' house and looked around. I discovered a technique called the burning ash technique that works well for both crowd control and creating an effect. Another helpful method, but is it limited in any way? Yeah, Konohamaru said, scratching his head. It said that a user who has a connection to fire is required. All right, Naruto said, we can check our chakra elemental affinity later. How about you two? He asked. Naruto turned to face the two wolves. Naruto gave them aura after much deliberation because they were devoted to him. They all had different colors for their auras, which made them all very odd. When Naruto attempted to question Fog about it, the jerk failed to respond. Kuromaru's aura was dark blue, Konohamaru's was pitch black, Akira's was dark brown, Akio's was gray, and Naruto's was bloody red. Naruto would eventually decipher the meaning of the color. He had other things to think about for the time being, though. We too infiltrated the Inuzuka clan and we found a technique for us specifically, said Akira, clearing his throat. Akira gestured toward him and Akio. When Akira and Akio were staying with them, Naruto, Kuromaru, and Konohamaru quickly learned the dog speech. That clan's humans referred to it as the Hangover Fang, or something similar. Akio continued. Can you give me another bone? Like any tamed dog, he started chewing on the bone that Naruto threw at him. Hold on a minute. Konohamaru cut him off. You did indeed infiltrate the Inuzuka clan. Yes, how about it? Akira answered. Do you want to compliment me on my infiltration skills? Did you guys have to act like dogs when you joined a dog-filled clan? No. Akira hesitated before answering. They gave us a great deal of beef, with excitement and a trail of saliva trailing from his mouth, Akio said. And I got a treat when I played fetch with them. When they rubbed his stomach, even brother appeared to be having fun. Akira embarrassed himself by slapping his face. When this wolf, like Akira, who has a tendency to act like a heartless murderer, pretended to be a domesticated dog, Naruto and Kuromaru remained silent. Shiro and Konohamaru were laughing uncontrollably, and Hester was desperately trying not to laugh. I didn't think you were capable of that, Konohamaru said. That is a really strange fetish, Hester said. Was that enough to turn you on? Shiro added. Although it was a pleasant day, they started training themselves using the ninja skills they had learned until they were unable to move. Hello, my favorite customers. May I be of assistance to you? Hirata greeted Naruto and his brothers with greater enthusiasm than usual. To test elemental affinity, I need a few chakra papers. Naruto was direct in his communication, stating his needs right away. After a brief search of the store, Hirata returned with a small stack of chakra papers. That will be 100 ryo, here they are. Compared to the papers used for Fuinjutsu, that is less expensive. Naruto was a little taken aback by the cost. Naturally, it will be less expensive because so few people use this stuff. Hirata uttered those words in a defeated tone. Have you finished repairing the weapons I asked you to? Naruto inquired. As you are aware, I have numerous weapons strewn about the store. Why bother repairing them when you could have purchased any of them? Instead, you could ask them. Naruto gestured to Akio, Akira, and Konohamaru with his thumb. I pinned this bitch down with that katana. With a smug expression, Konohamaru addressed Akira. I nailed this bastard to a tree with that scythe, hee. I enjoy chewing on that sickle's handle. In any case, when will they be prepared? Naruto interrupted abruptly. As you can see, I forwarded them to a friend, Hirata said. Additionally, where is your friend? Just beyond the village. When will you be returning their belongings? Well, that's the issue. I usually have an errand boy for that, but he has a fever today, so he is bedridden. Well, Naruto inquired, already aware of the man's desires. I wanted you to accompany me so we could get the item and a few other things from them, because I'm in dire need of some assistance. Outside the village, the group had traveled to a very isolated hilly location. The group of people who lived in the pit had never left the village before. All right, we're here, young men. As they arrived at a little house-like building atop a hill, Hirata remarked. What exactly is this place? Naruto inquired. The majority of Konoha's disposable weapons are manufactured here. Boom. All of the animals present were startled when a loud explosion erupted from the house and reverberated throughout the neighborhood. Hirata sighed as smoke billowed from the windows. This time, what did that bastard do? Come on, let's go check out the foolish experiments that man ruined. Thick smoke met them as they opened the sliding door. Cough. Cough. You weapon fetish bastard, what are you trying to do? Hirata yelled. As the smoke cleared, they could see two men standing next to a huge metal ball with spikes and a handle attached. They had heard two violent coughs inside the house. The two men had a very strange appearance. One man had a goatee and mustache, and his side hair was grayed and his head was nearly bald, giving him an aged appearance. The other man, who appeared to be his assistant, had a very strange ponytail-like hairstyle and large round glasses. Oh, it's you, Hirata. And who are these people? Well, people, said the elderly man. They are here to get the weapons that I handed over to you a week ago. Yes, they are in that exact location. The man indicated a wall with the aforementioned weapons hung on it. After selecting their own weapons, the owners started assessing the repairs. Damn, son. This blade is really lovely. Shiro was ecstatic about the katana in front of him. In contrast to other katanas, this one had a dark blade, making it an ideal assassination tool. An assassin who used a shiny weapon was much more likely to be caught by his adversaries. He took a lock of hair off his head and cut it to test the blade's sharpness. Indeed, a very sharp blade. Hester offered his candid assessment. Konohamaru took a few tries. I feel like I can use this sword to cut 5 bodies like butter. Akira's mouth reached for his freshly fixed scythe. A few test swings are being given. It's ideal. Akio, on the other hand, was using the sickle handle as a chew toy even though he had it in his mouth. Don't worry, it's the ideal chew toy because the handle is made of rubber. I thought, what is this guy even trying to do? When I heard the specifications for these weapons and their users. Hello? Are you even paying attention to me? The other people in the room were entirely ignored as the pit dwellers excitedly examined their weapons. So, did you create all of these weapons on your own? Naruto inquired. All of the ninja tools in the room, including kunais and shurikens, were of the highest caliber. Yes. Very impressive. Do you think these pieces of garbage are impressive? The nearly bald man uttered those words. Bigger is better when it comes to weapons. However, I fail to see why people claim that my weapons are useless. I can understand why they say that after seeing this spiked ball with a handle, Hester said. Don't ridicule my creations. I'm you, the legendary inventor of ninja tools, and this is my most recent creation, which I affectionately call Jidanda. It was designed to be a destroyer in a battlefield and has hidden explosive tags on the spikes. Anyway, Hester shrugged her shoulders casually. It's just a big, handle-equipped ball that is spiked. How much ought I to pay you for all of this, then? Naruto questioned Yu. After giving it some thought, Yu said, well, I have a better idea. When the pit dwellers eventually arrived at their 60-foot underground home, they were completely worn out. It was a long day. If they tested some of his inventions, Yu would pay for the repairs for free. Although it sounded like a good offer, they weren't prepared for it. I was hurled to a hill. Konohamaru collapsed like a corpse to his futon, grunting. Why'd I see stars? We're underground, right? Akira was moving like he was intoxicated. Why are you so tall, brother? To a wooden punching bag, Akio uttered in a daze. Instead, we ought to have covered the cost, Kuromaru said. I concur with that. Naruto concurred. Kuromaru point of view. I'm training by myself today, and I'll be using a unique technique. I've been practicing the ninja's wall climbing technique for a long time, so I'm an expert in it, I suppose. Although the technique seemed simple, it was really challenging to make chakra flow from my hoofs. The fact that you fell hard to the ground after climbing a few feet was pretty annoying. However, the fact that my brothers experienced the same suffering as I did at least eases my feelings. We all discovered during those days of practicing tree climbing that if you apply too much chakra to your feet, you will be launched a considerable distance from the tree. To be completely honest, I consider this body of mine to be essentially worthless. The only thing I love about my body is my horn, which I use as a weapon. I can only attack in a straight line aside from that. I wished I had a muscular human body. Well, I'm stuck with a bull's body, and beggars can't be chosen. I had better use it wisely. I looked up at a tree, which was quite large but not particularly large. I positioned myself and pointed my horn at the tree. I used my special technique, applying a lot of chakra to my legs and hoofs. I vanished from view, leaving a black blur that was moving in the direction of the tree as the ground where I stood developed cracks. Boom. Crash. The tree, or what was left of it, was 10 feet from me. The tree was split in half and completely destroyed. Only the trunk's lower portion and the tree's remaining upper portion remained. I called this unique technique, assassination technique, the Black Spear. I thought it sounded cool. I can now utilize it on land, followed by vertical surfaces and water. I will succeed in doing this because I will stop at nothing to support my first brother and shield him from any obstacles. Because I am the spiked shield of my first brother, I will impale anyone who poses a threat to him. Konohamaru's point of view. Let's see where our conversation has taken us. You stated that we must develop a new fighting style, Shiro said. Later, let's talk about that. It's almost nighttime, so let's just head home first. Hester grumbled. We spent the entire afternoon at the ninja library in search of new fighting techniques. We are now traversing the forest of death as we make our way to the pit. Hester, are you scared of the dark or something? Since that would be immature. Said by a child without even 5 years of age. You are aware that age is merely a numerical value. Hey, check this out, guys. I caught their interest. I showed them a scene in which a chakra rat was being eaten by a black centipede. The odd thing about this centipede was that it was as long as our arm. It coiled itself around the enormous rat like a snake and sunk its jaws onto its flesh while contentedly consuming its meal. That centipede is enormous. Shiro said. Oi, what are you doing? It might be poison, Hester cautioned. I was trying to catch the centipede by stretching my closed fist. Calm down, I've got this, I said. My hand was moving toward the centipede's head as it turned its head in my direction. Centipedes are said to be extremely aggressive. However, I opened my fist to reveal a tiny rat just a few inches from the centipede. With its mandible, the centipede seized the rat and started to consume it. It jumped towards me, circled my body, and finally rested its head over my shoulders after I stroked its head. Brothers, we should keep him. That's a smart idea, Shiro said. That is a demon black centipede, just so you know. And when fully grown, it will reach a length of nearly 30 feet. Hester provided us with some details. I am aware of that, so, what are you attempting to convey? I inquired. How are you going to handle such a large pet? Pet? No, my brother, you're wrong. I'd rather have a cool ride than a pet. Wait for a cool ride, okay? I want to visit a battlefield. Imagine bringing a 30-foot-long centipede to a battleground. What's more awesome than that? I agree. We need a style man, Shiro remarked, because I'm not walking with my feet on a battlefield. What's the matter with walking? Legends like us ride centipedes. Walking is for children. It is pointless to converse with you all. I should come up with the ideal name for him. I'll call you Suzuki, for my cool ride, in honor of my cool dad. Perfect. Shiro cried out. How about the great Alexander? Hester proposed. Hey, buddy. Why do you have such an odd name? Shiro uttered those words in discontent. What is so strange about that name? You are also aware of your peculiar name. What exactly does Hester mean? I propose that we cast our votes, and the results indicate that Shiro and I prevailed by a majority of 2 votes. What the devil, man? It's not fair at all. In any case, life is unfair from the start. Now that this was finished, we went home. I noticed a suspicious-looking sack in the kitchen at the pit, and it contained something. I became more curious and wanted to see what was inside. When I opened it, I discovered that it was packed with walnuts. I grabbed one and used my teeth to crack it open. I grabbed the edible material and threw it into my mouth. These nuts are excellent, I said. Let me also have some. I also want some. First brother entered the kitchen, but we were too preoccupied to notice him because we were eating the walnuts. I'm going to make a cake for Hanabi's birthday next week, so don't eat them all. As he removed a nut from the sack, he said. The centipede on your shoulder, so what is it? I was stunned by what I saw next. The first brother cracked the nut open with just his 2 fingers after pinching it from the sides with his thumb and index finger. These nuts are good. Urata-san truly knows how to get good stuff, first brother remarked. He was merely showing off how strong his grip was. Because of their extremely tough surface, walnuts would require a nutcracker to crack open for the average person. However, simply pinching open the aforementioned nut demonstrates the strength of a person's fingers and grip. However, the first brother thought it was a very simple task. It's frightening, I tell you. I'm not sure what would happen if he used all of his strength to pinch me. Hold on a second. Pinch me as hard as he could. What would occur if I used all my strength to pinch someone, particularly if I pinched a joint or an artery? I focused on Suzuki's mandibles in particular. I've got a fantastic idea, I mentally proclaimed. After 2 months. I came up with this crazy idea 2 months ago, and today was the day I finally put it to use. All right, let's see it now. Konohamaru heard you invented some new taijutsu or something, said the first brother. We're going to have our daily spar as usual right now. But I won't exactly refer to it as a spar. It was more akin to a fight to the death. Additionally, first brother currently held the record for having no losses. It was a really scary experience. It's frightening how the first brother can change and grow during a fight. He may use the same move against you in the same match, so you should never use the same move against him. He seemed destined to be a god of fighters. However, I will be the first person on your list of first brother's losses today. Brother slipped into his stance and taunted me, saying, okay, come at me. He had nearly 1,000 fights with all of his brothers to temper his stance. There were absolutely no vacancies that I could utilize. His hands were in the shape of a claw, and I thought back to all the painful times I had been clawed. However, I had other ideas. I assumed my new fighting position. Even my first brother will probably be perplexed by my new fighting technique. I squatted down like a sumo wrestler. My fingers, however, were the most menacing aspect of the position. My thumb and index finger were twitching wildly when I positioned them like a centipede's mandibles. I refer to this new fashion trend as the centipede style. I can't wait to use my fingers to cut First Brother. I charged in the direction of First Brother. In response, the First Brother reached out and touched my skull with his right hand. This was First Brother's famous Iron Claw move. You will never be able to get away once you are caught. I rolled under quickly to escape my fate. First Brother fell to his knees after I gave him a roundhouse kick to the back of his leg. I instantly pinched his back, and using all the time I had spent making my grip stronger, I created a wound that looked like it was from a sharp object. Suddenly, my First Brother's claw attack landed on my chest. My chest was covered in 5 bloody claw marks, and blood was streaming out like a fountain. Taijutsu is simply too risky for the First Brother. I have to take away his right hand, which is one of his primary weapons, if I want to beat my First Brother. Increasing a pinch's damage to the point where it can sever flesh by using your strengthened grip. Amazing. Naruto gave Konohamaru a lot of praise. Fuck. He already figured it out. It's going to be a do or die scenario, then. The only thing I can do is remove First Brother's right hand. I rushed in the direction of my First Brother. He extended his hand in my direction using the same motion once more. I grabbed his wrist and dug my mandible-like fingers into the bone before he could touch me. But I didn't stop there. Taking First Brother's arm with me, I jumped over him. I wrenched his arm away from his shoulders with a powerful tug. I kicked the back of his knees, causing him to fall to his knees, knowing that he had an absurdly high pain threshold. I tore it apart by pinching the tendons in his elbows and removing my fingers from his wrist. I stand a better chance of winning now that First Brother's right hand is useless. Or perhaps not. Grabbing my skull with his left hand, the First Brother contorted his body. Man, I made a dumb error. In fact, you believe that I would simply use the same tactic against you. You ought to have realized that you were only falling for a ruse. I totally overlooked the fact that his left hand is just as proficient as his right. Nice effort, but you didn't win. I won't lose the next time. Akira's point of view. The fang over fang technique was successfully executed, though it took us longer than anticipated. However, I wanted to give it a bit more harm. All right, Akio, are you prepared? Hello. Akira Nissan. We fully armored ourselves and activated our aura. Our sickle and scythe were in our mouths. We used the method that would undoubtedly kill its target. Today's target was an unlucky tree. 2 whirlwinds of color were racing in opposite directions toward the tree. My brother and I were in that whirlwind. The tree did not break upon impact, but it was left with 2 enormous holes by our 2-colored whirlwind. I discovered that it was a blunt projectile attack technique after doing that fang over fang nearly 100 times. Now that I've improved this technique, though, I've made it into a lethal long-range piercing projectile attack. I'll refer to it as the Razor Storm. Let's see how this is countered by that bastard's centipede style. Akira Nissan, are you still upset that he beat you the last time? He squeezed me, and I won't stop until I get him for pinching my ass, I yelled. As retaliation, I'll Razor Storm his ass. That bastard is someone I despise. Although 5 years have gone by, it was not a calm time. The Uchiha massacre was one of them, where all Uchiha clan members, from the oldest to the youngest, were brutally murdered. There was only one person spared. The youngest sibling of the man who started the massacre was the only one who survived. Everything was quiet except for that. The things Fog told Naruto did come to pass during those years. People would describe the changes in our pit dwellers' bodies as freakishly abnormal. In addition to a growth spurt, Naruto and Konohamaru experienced other physical changes. After sharpening their nails with a file, Naruto and Konohamaru turned them into claws because their nails had hardened on their own. Their taijutsu damage output increased dramatically as a result. However, the most bizarre changes had been made to the Akira, Akio, and Kuromaru. Standing on 4 legs, Akira and Akio grew to a height of nearly 2 meters and were now able to communicate in human language. However, none of them were able to match Kuromaru's transformation. His body had, to put it simply, undergone a significant upgrade, aside from the size increase and the addition of speech. He was now on his 2 hooves and 7 feet tall. He now possessed a humanoid body with a single horn, resembling a minotaur. Naruto was so shocked by this that he nearly killed him because he thought he was a monster that had eaten him. This initially presented a significant challenge in terms of how to keep him out of the villagers' view. Kuromaru's demonstration of his ability to change back into his bull form at will, however, resolved the issue. Go to my storage scroll and get me my banner. Naruto addressed Konohamaru. Here. Konohamaru passed the banner that said, "Congratulations on your ninja status, Hinata-chan." Hinata's academy graduation exams were held today, and Naruto was ready to rejoice already. Do you not feel that this is a bit excessive? Konohamaru inquired. No, if it's for her, there is no such thing as too much. Her academy graduation merits a lavish celebration. Onisan, Konohamaru-kun, is correct. Onisan deserves a big celebration because she has put in a lot of work. Congratulations, Onisan. A 9-year-old Hanabi said, holding another banner. The celebration, however, was inevitable. I've heard that you'll be joining the academy this year as well. Konohamaru inquired of Hanabi. Yes, and I'll also be a cool ninja protecting the defenseless from bad guys. Yes, that's correct. In his mind, Hester said to Konohamaru. For this cursed world, she is too innocent. No, let the child dream, man. Ha! The man who is just a year older than her says. Age is just a number, man, as I mentioned. You know what, just now that sounded really incorrect. What does that mean to you? You're still too young and unintelligent for that, so let's end it there. Hey, do you want a beating or something? All right, guys, prepare for her arrival. Naruto instructed them to prepare the banners. With the 4 protector fastened around her neck, Hinata emerged from the academy's front door. Hinata-chan, congratulations. Naruto's point of view. Now, we're all at the Hyuga compound, in the garden, celebrating Hinata's graduation. I'm going to make it the most memorable day of her life by organizing this celebration a month in advance. And without a barbecue, what would a celebration be? For this reason, I planned a barbecue cooking contest for the whole Hyuga clan. The family's chef, Haishi-san, and the honored guest, Hinata-chan, served as the judges. I had already set up the grill while wearing my apron. Where's the meat now? Naruto-kun, Hinata pulled at my clothing. Yes, Hinata-chan? Do you not feel that this is a bit excessive? Such a large celebration is not necessary for me. Hinata doesn't want to bother me or anyone else too much with this celebration because I am aware of how modest she is. Indeed, I am aware that merely congratulating her was sufficient. But I'll give her the finest celebration she deserves while I'm still here. She wanted to get stronger after that incident 9 years ago so that I wouldn't have to go through what I went through when I was defending her. What a dumb girl, hee. You've gone above and beyond for me. I've been longing for a light that would illuminate my dark life, and you've given it to me. You and your family have fulfilled every wish I've ever had. And I ought to be the one to reimburse you. What are you discussing? I will stop at nothing to ensure your happiness. As I patted her head, I said. She blushed cutely and avoided looking at my face. Hinata Onisan and Okasama Naruto Onisan are once more flirting. Our moment was ruined by Hanabi. I'll make fun of you until you pass out the day you get a boyfriend. Boyfriends are gross, so I don't want one. I'll be watching for the day when you deny that, hee. I discovered that the meat was missing as I was lighting the barbecue fire. Hello, my second brother. Where is the meat? What? Kuromaru answered, but was occupied with using his humanoid form to play with the Hyuga children. Despite his transformation into a 7-foot giant, the Hyuga children still identify him as the amiable and entertaining one-horned bull who had just grown even more entertaining. The children adore him. Some were giggling and laughing with delight while others were on his arms, shoulders, and feet. In the living room, I left it. Kuromaru answered. Oi Konohamaru, take care of the fire for me. Yes. I reached the living room after navigating the Hyuga compound's labyrinthine hallways. A small backpack with a storage scroll containing the meat I had hunted the previous evening was located at the corner. I returned to the garden after getting what I needed. However, Hinata-chan ran into me as the garden door was opened by the slide. It appears that you are rushing, heading somewhere? I was summoned to the academy by my instructor. What does that moron want at this hour? It's almost 7. Perhaps I should not keep him waiting, but I'm not sure. I will return as soon as I can, Hinata said, bowing in apology. All right. Hinata has not yet returned after a half hour. It was almost time for the barbecue competition to start. There were happy, animated faces all over the Hyuga compound. However, I was starting to feel nervous. The competition is about to start. Why is Hinata taking so long? Haishi grumbled. Can you go check on Hinata-chan, Naruto-kun? Hinami questioned me. All right, Brothers, let's go second, third, fourth, and fifth. Can you go by yourself, bro? Shiro grumbled. Are you coming or not? I flexed my claws and cracked my knuckles. We're coming. Hester answered. We headed directly to the academy after leaving the Hyuga compound. Konoha's deserted evening streets were a little eerie, especially when you saw us walking around. However, I'm not sure why, but I had a weird feeling that alerted me to Hinami's murder attempt nearly 9 years prior. I want to eat that barb meat thing, first brother, Akio grumbled. Be a little more patient. You already consumed a mouthful of raw meat before you left the Hyuga compound. Akira soothed his brother. I chose to ignore their immature behavior because I had more pressing concerns, particularly in light of the copyright Yavu feeling I'm currently experiencing. The academy was a dimly lit building that greeted me as we got closer to the academy grounds. It's so quiet, man, Hester remarked. It's too silent. Kuromaru continued, I don't like it. I looked around but couldn't find any open doors. This was a terrible thing. I shielded my exposed eyes with my arm as a sudden gust of wind blew, sending dust flying in our direction. Additionally, the wind partially cleared the overcast night so that Konoha could see the full splendor of the moon. We looked up as a shadow swiftly went by, and I saw something that made my blood boil. A Konoha ninja was holding a massive scroll in one hand while a gagged and tied Hinata lay unconscious on the other. Why? Why are people always taking away my happiness? What have I ever done to deserve this kind of treatment? That bastard. Brothers. I snarled angrily, I want that bastard under my feet and half dead. My goal is to kill him, kill him, kill him, Mizuki's point of view. It was a good day because I was able to capture a Hyuga in addition to stealing the scroll of sealing. It will make Orochimaru-sama very happy. All I need to do now to leave Konoha is to go past the border guards. Right now, I'm carrying these 2 pieces of luggage while I jump from tree to tree. I have no idea why, but all of a sudden I feel like I'm being followed. All I could see when I turned around was the shadowy forest I was leaving behind. What are those? From the shadowy forest, I saw a pair of glowing eyes, and a few seconds later, I saw 4 more. My heart was racing, those eyes were pursuing me, and all of this bloodlust was focused on me. I have to hurry. I hurried to the border because I knew I would die if I didn't cross it. No, they will still pursue me if I cross the border. Fuck. Die. A huge black figure was coming at me at a terrifying pace when I heard a terrible roar. It was a monster with a bull's head and a human-like body, but it only had 1 horn. It was emitting a terrible bloodlust. It abruptly came to a complete stop on its path. What does it hope to accomplish? Zoom. When I landed on a tree branch, a black blur smashed into the tree, and the monster vanished in a blur. The tree split in 2 due to the force of the impact. My 2 bags flew out of my hands as I was flung into the air. The Hyuga girl was instantly captured by the monster, but I and the scroll fell to the ground with a thud. I'll just grab the scroll and run because things have gotten really dangerous. I hurried over to the scroll and extended my hand to grab it. However, my hand abruptly stopped. My hand was bitten. When I turned around, I saw a huge wolf growling at me and chomping down my hand. Never in my life have I been so afraid. Ah! I let out an agonized scream. Get away from me! I tried pushing, punching, and even prying its savage jaws off my hand, but it refused to move. Another wolf emerged from the shadows and bit my other arm as I reached for my free arm to grab my giant shuriken. All I could do was scream in agony as they started to tear me apart. Even though I was going to die tonight, it wouldn't be a quick one. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, a human-looking creature with the most eerie, psychotic smile I've ever seen emerged from the shadows. While the 2 wolves held me in place, this human suddenly sliced my ligaments from my arms and legs, causing me to scream in excruciating pain. Does it cause pain, bastard? Well, I suppose it does. This person made fun of me. I only committed simple theft and kidnapping, so what have I done to deserve this? It's sufficient. Another voice, which I know very well, emerged from the shadows. It was the demon fox's vessel, Naruto. I fell to the ground after the 2 wolves let go of me. Get up, you scum. Naruto uttered those words with hatred. Who said you could lie down? Taking hold of my throat, he lifted me off the ground. He was taller than I was, and his eerie eyes were fixed on me, staring right into my heart. Why are you treating me like this? Why this demon incarnate would harm me is beyond me. When he was younger, those villagers organized demon hunts, but I never even participated in them. So why? Why do you ask? Naruto cocked his head and said, "You see, it's really easy." His razor-sharp nails dug into my throat. His bloodlust was uncontrollable after he let it out. "Nobody robs me of my priceless light. You also did that. Anyone who dares to take it away from me will be crushed by me. I'm going to use my bare hands to crush them." He tightened his hold on my neck. "Stop, Naruto. Let him go." I observed a squad of Anbu ninjas under the command of a dog-masked ninja. "You don't have to kill Mizuki because, according to Konoha laws, he is arrested for betraying the people and will be judged by the council. I'm saved because a traitor faces a life sentence in prison under Konoha law. I will not pass away today, and I will eventually break out of the prison while I am still alive. What if I decline?" Naruto responded icily. "You will also be taken into custody." The Anbu wearing the dog mask answered. "Huh." Naruto let out a defeated sigh. "All right. You dirty demon, there is nothing you can do to me." "Haha," Naruto said with a somber laugh. He was grinning from ear to ear, and I could see his face. "What is this guy?" All of the Anbu ninjas had to back off because it looked so terrible. "I threatened to crush anyone who attempted to steal my priceless light, and I'll carry it out." Naruto's fingernails dug into my skull as he seized my entire face. I violently shook my body in an attempt to break free. However, his hold was so firm that I had no way out of this. "I'm not interested in dying." "Stop, Naruto, or we'll have to do something." With the dog mask on, the Anbu ninja shouted. With their weapons raised against Naruto, the Anbu ninja group was racing directly at him. Suddenly, a huge centipede appeared and swung its body at the ninjas, sending them flying into the trees nearby. In front of the Anbu ninjas were the two enormous wolves, the giant bull monster and the other human. "Take another step and turn to face us," the human, who was now perched atop the centipede, said. Then they let go of their desire for blood and halted every Anbu ninja in their tracks. "Then I'll go on," Naruto said, flashing me that frightful grin. I could already feel his nails going through my skull as he tightened his hold. I wanted to scream, ask for help, or even plead for mercy as I thrashed violently in agony, but his large hands covered my entire face, silencing me. "Die, you scum!" Naruto gripped my skull with all of his brute force and growled. Crack! With a thud, Mizuki's body fell to the ground. All of the Anbu ninjas were appalled by Naruto's act of brutality and savagery. The bloodied, faceless body lay emotionless on the ground, Mizuki's face crushed completely. "Che!" The brain juice of this scum soiled my hand. As he shook the blood and other unidentified liquid from his hand, Naruto uttered those words in disgust. "Naruto," said the ninja wearing a dog mask, "do you realize that all of the information he may have had is gone because you just killed him?" "I don't care about that at all," Naruto answered. "That's not my problem, it's yours." Naruto started to leave after turning his back on the Anbu ninjas. "I'll say this just once. I'll crush you all the same way I crushed this scum if you stand in my way, or even worse." A few moments later, his brothers came after him. They arrived late, and Konohamaru sneered at them for it. This bastard would have fled Konoha with Hinata and the scroll if he and his brothers hadn't been present. "Let's examine what makes this scroll so unique." Konohamaru took the scroll in his hands and unfolded it. "If I were you, Konohamaru, I wouldn't do that," a fresh voice said. It came from the third Hokage, Hiruzen. After glancing at Mizuki's bloodied, faceless body, Hiruzen turned to face Naruto. "Is something wrong, guys?" Naruto inquired. "I would like to speak with you in my office." "You're not going to accept no, are you?" Hiruzen confirmed with a nod. "Additionally, Konohamaru has now given me the scroll. Damn it. I wished that at least one of the contents could be read." Kuromaru was instructed by Naruto to return Hinata to the Hyuga compound while the others were to head back to the pit. Naruto and Hiruzen sat face to face at the Hokage's office, with the office table separating them. "I sincerely appreciate your assistance in getting rid of Mizuki, Naruto. All right. He would have fled Konoha if it weren't for you, so you have done this village a great service." "Just hold it there," Naruto cut him off. "I didn't kill that jerk because I wanted to give your fucking village a great service. He dared to take my loved ones away from me, and no one takes those away from me, so I killed him. Keep in mind that I don't care what become of this abyss you call a village." "Do you truly despise this village?" Hiruzen inquired. "Let's switch the subject." Naruto stated that he didn't want to worsen his already depressing state of mind. "I heard that I would be punished or something after I killed that bastard you called a traitor." "Well, you're not incorrect," He may have had some important information with him, but it was all lost when you killed him, Hiruzen remarked. Yes, I understand that part. Naruto gave a nod. In terms of punishment, you would be imprisoned for a few months, however. I've got a better idea. What is this notion of yours? I argued that it would be a waste of all the skills you have acquired throughout your life for the council to send you to perform physical labor for a few months without compensation. What does that mean? Naruto was obviously irritated. I suggested that you work alongside the recently graduated shinobi, assisting them with their daily tasks, but you won't receive compensation. How is that a form of punishment? It sounded as though you were announcing your intention to become a teacher, Naruto inquired. Yes, it is, Hiruzen remarked while puffing on his smoking pipe. Like you, the younger generation of shinobi lacks the skills needed to survive in hostile environments. They will all be killed if I send them outside the village. I take it that you want me to teach them how to survive. Yes. I don't have the time to instruct a group of unsophisticated brats who are 3 years my junior. Look, Gramps. You are aware that Hinata-chan is a member of the recently graduated shinobi, aren't you? All right, I'm in. Time skip, the following day. Naruto was standing outside Hinata's classroom door. He was eager to enter the classroom where Hinata-chan had spent her entire academy career. Additionally, he was going to meet her classmates and comrades. His fantastic introduction would make her proud. Last night, he prepared his amazing introduction for nearly 5 hours. I'll show them how brilliant I am. He held on to the door and slid it open, but his force caused the door to shatter. Sorry. When he walked into the classroom, he noticed that every child there was looking at him in disbelief and terror. That was a poor method of introducing myself. Naruto noticed Hinata at the final bench. She waved to him shyly. Okay. Now is the moment to wow them all with my fantastic introduction. In his mind, Naruto said. Simply introduce yourself with a smile. Naruto grinned, but it wasn't just any smile, he was grinning from ear to ear, and his ominous expression made everyone shudder. I'm Naruto. Nice to meet you. I hope we have a great relationship. Cough. Iruka turned the focus to himself after realizing the situation. I'm sure that most of you are already familiar with him. He's Naruto-kun, and the Hokage has sent him here to help you all. The leader of each team is now required to step forward and select a numbered paper from this box once I have divided you all into your respective teams. Iruka put a box filled with numbered papers inside. The lucky team will have Naruto-kun help them for a week if they have the lowest number, and Naruto-kun will help the next team for a week if their number is greater than the previous teams, with the others following. In the room, every recently graduated ninja prayed that their team would be the last one on the list. She wanted her team to be paired with Naruto, with the exception of Hinata. All right, I'll start by putting each of you on your own teams. Team 1. Sakura Haruno, Sai, and Sasuke Uchiha will make up Team 7. Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame will make up Team 8. Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akamichi will make up Team 11. The only thing left to do was choose the so-called lucky team, after Iruka divided them all up into their teams. Every team leader stepped forward and selected a piece of paper. Hinata cheered in silence as Team 8 was listed first. Team 11 came in second, followed by Team 7 and so forth. As time passed, the corresponding Junin from each team arrived to select their team. Teams 7, 8, and 11 were now the only remaining teams. While talking about the numerous delectable recipes they had discovered, Naruto complimented Hinata on her potential as a good wife. Wife, she was blushing profusely as she cutely turned her head away from Naruto's face. The other people in the room gave the strange couple strange looks. They might as well get diabetes from this, it was too sweet. A few seconds later, a man entered through the open door, smoking a cigarette. He was Asuma Sarutobi, after all. All right, Team 11, come follow me. Asuma's eyes landed on Naruto. Oh, Naruto. I sincerely appreciate all of the training you have provided Konohamaru. No, it's not a huge deal. Naruto dismissed it with a shrug. One day, that child will grow up to be a fantastic ninja. Or perhaps a ruthless belligerent. Shortly after, a woman with red Isa and additional Junina entered the room. I'm Kurenai from Team 8, please follow me. After leaving the room, Naruto and Team 8 went to a training ground with their designated Junin. Okay, so since we are all on this team, I would like each of you to provide a brief introduction that includes your name, preferences, and aspirations. I'll reintroduce myself. My name is Kurenai. I enjoy drinking tea with my friend Anko. I detest those who believe that women are weaker than men, and my dream is to transform all of you into amazing ninjas. Okay, now give it a shot. I am Kiba Inuzuka, and this is my partner Akamaru. I like beef and to take Akamaru for a walk. I especially dislike cats and my sister, Kiba. The boy in the furry hoodie with the puppy on his head said as he started his introduction. My dream is to become the world's greatest ninja tracker. The child in the trenchcoat and goggles, Shino, also started his introduction. My name is Shino Aburame, and I have a dream of breeding a particular bug. I also like bugs and detest people who ignore me. My name is Hinata Hyuga, and I enjoy cooking, cinnamon rolls, and... Was Hinata's turn. She turns to face Naruto, who is also smiling and staring at her. She turns away from him at once. Making my family proud and becoming the greatest clan head are my goals. That is an excellent introduction. Kurenai grinned at them before turning to face Naruto and asking, how about you? All right. My name is Naruto, I detest everyone, and I like Hinata-chan. I will demonstrate the true meaning of pain to those who attempt to harm her, and for my aspirations, I don't believe I require one. Hinata blushed during his introduction, particularly when he declared that he liked her. The other parts, where he essentially threatened to harm anyone who attempted to harm her, made the other people a little uneasy. As you may not be aware, I was put in charge of training you all to become tracking ninjas, with a focus on search and destroy missions. However, you must first pass my test. What's the test, sensei? Hinata inquired. You are a complete ninja at the moment. At this point, they were all perplexed. Every time a group of graduates is divided into teams, their sensei is supposed to test them so that they can pass and become ninjas. As you are aware, you are currently ranked Genin, the lowest position in the shinobi ranking system. The next in line are the Chunin, who are higher than you. If someone is deserving, they can become a Kage, which is the highest rank a shinobi can achieve. Before 12 o'clock, I want you all to try to keep me under control and track me for my test. That seems simple enough, Kiba remarked proudly. This is when your time begins. Kurenai remarked, as she performed a seal, her body started to dissolve into the forest until she vanished entirely. I am unable to locate her scent, Kiba remarked while taking a whiff of the air. You can't smell her ass sniffer, of course, Naruto said. What did you call me just now? The three senses are being inhibited by the genjutsu she is employing. Naruto said. Therefore, it is pointless to try to detect her by scent. Additionally, it is foolish and embarrassing to try to smell the target before even assessing the circumstances. When Kiba heard this, he instantly bowed his head in embarrassment. I take it that you have a plan, Naruto-san? Shino inquired. Yes, I do. Naruto answered. Team 8 and Naruto got together and talked about the strategy. Everyone, especially you ass sniffer and you two bug boy, got the plan right. How about Hinata? Kiba inquired. He and Shino were irritated by Naruto, but not Hinata. She is more helpful than the two of you combined, so you don't need to worry about that because she will be with me. Naruto scolded him. And I need both of you to be absolutely accurate, otherwise. In an unsettling manner, Naruto started to crack his knuckles. Kiba swallowed in terror. Don't be hard on them, Naruto-kun. Hinata pulled Naruto's arm, urging him to try to be kind to them at the very least. Okay, Hinata-chan. Naruto smiled as he spoke. Before we start my plan, make sure your weapons are in working order. Hinata checked the weapons in a pouch fastened to her leg. With an obvious sign that read, I got my eyes on you too, Naruto glared at Kiba and Shino, pointing first to himself and then to them. You had better not make a mess of this. All right, now. We disperse. They all immediately leapt in different directions to avoid Kurenai's prying eyes. Kurenai was examining them all from a tree branch. Although they are doing a good job of hiding, I can still make out Kiba and Akamaru hiding beneath the bush where Shino is perched on a tree branch. However, where are Hinata and Naruto? I'm over here right now. Kurenai turned when she heard a loud voice and realized it was Naruto. Upon closer examination, she noticed that Naruto was carrying Hinata. I'm not going to have to hide like a bitch. If you dare, come and face me. It was clear that Kurenai would not confront him. It appears that she will not be attending, Naruto said. All right, Hinata, let's get started. Yes. Hinata activated her Byakugan right away. The genjutsu was ineffective in front of her because of her family's recognizable eyes. She is situated on that branch. Hinata gestured toward Kurenai's location. Hold on tight, okay, and continue to tell her where you are. Naruto addressed Hinata. Hinata put her arms around Naruto's neck and nodded shyly. To keep Hinata from falling, Naruto used his arms to support her butt. Hinata felt extremely ashamed of her situation. Her tiny arms were encircling Naruto's powerful neck, her body was in close proximity to his muscular back, and to exacerbate the situation, his powerful arms were touching her butt. She blushed in embarrassment because she had never made this much body contact with him. I can feel how soft Hinata's chest is. Naruto let out a mental scream. Despite how uncomfortable this position is, it gave Naruto a clear sense of direction in this genjutsu while allowing him to keep Hinata as close as possible for protection. Silencing his twisted thoughts, Naruto concentrated on his target. He had to use his legs because his arms were now occupied. He ran over to where Kurenai was standing and kicked him in the roundhouse. When Kurenai noticed this, he leapt away from the branch right away, forcing Naruto to do nothing but kick the air. Where is she right now? Naruto inquired. That tree is in front of her. Hinata made a point. Naruto hurried over and used his toes' sharp nails to cut a tree, leaving a mark on it. Kurenai barely avoided the blow, so he did not hit her. She is currently on that branch. Hinata made a point. Hinata's precise knowledge of Kurenai's location combined with Naruto's barrage of kicks made it extremely difficult for her to avoid the attack because she needed to maintain her genjutsu. She's on top of that boulder, Naruto-kun. Hinata gestured toward a sizable boulder. Come on, get ready for the next part of the plan, Naruto said. All right. After that, Naruto leapt to a tree and then nearly 10 meters above the ground. With a loud roar, he kicked the boulder with his flying axe, creating a huge crack in it. Kurenai simply jumped away from the boulder before the kick even touched down. After that, Naruto continued to attack her, but she mostly avoided it. She divided her attention between Naruto and maintaining the genjutsu's activity. She turned to see that Hinata had struck her with a light fist palm strike after suddenly feeling a sharp pain on her sides. She understands that their goal was to distract her from Naruto so Hinata could strike her. The chakra within one's body is disrupted when struck by a light fist attack. Kurenai experienced this as well. She was unable to maintain the genjutsu's effectiveness and became visible. However, Hinata didn't stop there. She persisted in attacking, forcing Kurenai to avoid every single one of her blows. Naruto also started attacking with his enormous sword, which made matters worse for her. Kurenai was sent flying when Naruto landed a vicious front kick on her chest. Naruto roared while she was still in the air. Do it, ass sniffer. Fang over fang. Kurenai saw two tornadoes approaching, but she managed to dodge them by twisting her body in midair. Kurenai felt her chakra being drawn out of her as she landed on the ground and began to think of a strategy. She knows bugs were the source. The bugs covered her entire body, excluding her face, and started sucking her chakra to avoid any opportunities. Kurenai's chakra was quickly drained, causing her to drop to her knees. With his sword in hand, Naruto approached her. Do you yield? He said, pointing his sword at her face. Yes, I yield, Kurenai sighed. Congratulations to everyone who passed the test. Very early in the morning, Naruto and the other pit residents got out of their respective futons. After eating breakfast, they headed straight to their regular morning training. They ran around the village as usual, which included their customary 1,369 sprints. Naruto, Kuromaru, and Konohamaru then started their individual training regimens, which involved punching, kicking, and headbutting a boulder until it broke. Naruto had different training methods planned for Akira and Akio. They then started sparring, with Naruto typically emerging victorious. To get an advantage over Naruto, they always have to come up with new strategies for fighting him, but the first time they tried it, it worked. Naruto would have then discovered a method to undermine their fighting strategies. He seemed to be a tactical genius who excelled in battle, confronting issues head-on and finding quick solutions. None of your tricks will work on me twice, to simplify the lines above, according to Naruto himself. Despite losing nearly all of their battles with him, they never stopped trying to get better and come up with new strategies to beat him. Naruto had repeatedly stated that they would already have won if they came up with a strategy for the fight that could cause him to bleed the first time they used it, because the other person was already effectively dead if they used it to fight them. They would finish their bloody spar at dawn, and they proceeded with their own activities after cleaning themselves of any blood. Kuromaru played with the young children at the Hyuga compound, in an effort to develop his war animal, as he refers to it. Konohamaru ventured farther into the forest of death to train his pet centipede. In order to spy on the Inuzuka compound for any battle tactics, Akira and Akio broke in. When Naruto arrived at the Hinata's house after a leisurely walk, he discovered that Hinata was there, holding a bento box. "Greetings, Hinata-chan. Are you prepared for the mission today?" Naruto looked at the bento she brought and was shocked to see that it was significantly larger than usual. Hinata nodded shyly in agreement. "Is there a party or something planned for today?" "Indeed, Naruto-kun. Your time with our team will end today. So, Shino, Kiba, Kurenai-sensei, and I organized a thank you party before you left." Even though he will be leaving her team today and tomorrow, Naruto was ecstatic today because he received some excellent news. Only 3 teams out of her batch had passed the test. This was fortunate for him because he only had to wait 2 weeks to rejoin Hinata's team. They were welcomed by Kurenai and the other members of Team 8 when they arrived at the mission hall, where they would be given a mission. The mission for today was a D-ranked mission. D-rank mission. 2 cooks and 2 waiters are desperately needed by Aizawa-san from Aizawa's food stall. The workday will begin at 9 a.m. and end at 4 p.m. Many customers were drawn to Aizawa's food stall's medium-sized building by the aroma of delicious food and the sound of frying vegetables. While Kiba, Shino, and Kurenai were assigned to be the waiters and waitresses, Hinata and Naruto were assigned to be the cooks. Cooks. 10 more portions of chicken fried rice with a heart-shaped sauce are required. The stall's owner, Aizawa, shouted as she peered out the window leading into the kitchen. Here. A muscular and frightened arm of Naruto emerged from the window, holding a tray filled with 10 plates of chicken fried rice featuring a cute heart. "It's my lucky day today." Aizawa grinned broadly. He was almost ready to close his medium-sized food stand. He was now left with 2 options. One option is to shut down the business. The other is to think of a creative way to upgrade his food stand and make a lot of money. Then he encountered a major issue. His cook had a fever and was bedridden. It was expensive and a pain in the ass to hire cooks. He had to employ the most cost-effective strategy as a result. Employing ninjas. It was economical and effective. He is currently complimenting himself, saying, "I am a genius," he yells. The 2 chefs were treasures. Even the simplest dishes they prepared tasted better than those at 5-star restaurants. That was the reason why there were so many people in line outside his food stand. He had made more money in an hour than he had in a month. He will be extremely wealthy by the end of the week if this keeps up. "Oi!" asked Sniffer. "Purchase 10 kilograms of chicken at the market." Naruto's booming voice warned Kiba. "Indeed, Aniki," Kiba answered. Even though Naruto was a big asshole, obnoxious, cruel, and heartless, he had taught him so much about tracking that it seemed like all the tracking techniques his clan had taught him were inferior. In addition, a few days ago, he had saved his sorry ass more times than he could remember during a C-ranked mission. Calling him Aniki was his way of expressing his respect for his abilities. "I will use my iron claw on you if I don't see your sorry ass with the chicken in 10 minutes. A trail of dust was left in their wake as Kiba and Akamaru departed the food stand. They don't want to learn what he could do to them because they already know what he could do with his iron claw. Kiba and Akamaru returned 8 minutes later carrying a large bag of chicken meat. As the project came to a close, Aizawa was so pleased with their work that he gave them twice as much as he had originally intended. Since Naruto and Team 8 hadn't eaten lunch yet, they were currently using an unoccupied training area. Naruto reluctantly shared the bento that Hinata had made this morning with the others after taking it out. "How can you prepare such delectable food, Hinata-chan?" Kurenai lavished her with compliments. With the exception of Shino, every member of Team 8 started to groan in pleasure at the divine treat that was dancing in their mouths. "I'm worried I'll become dependent on your cooking," Kiba added. "The next time you ass-sniffing bastard, bring your own damn food," Naruto complained to himself. Naruto was unhappy because he was not good at sharing, especially when it came to Hinata items. If the person asking was in desperate need, he could share more items if he so desired. However, Hinata, for asking, he might even give that bastard a face punch. Naruto-kun, he heard a kind voice calling out to him. He turned to find Hinata fidgeting and flushed, holding a piece of chicken in front of his face with chopsticks. "Say HHH," she said, attempting to feed him. "The happiest day of my life is today." Naruto accepted the chicken while grinning broadly. Hinata. Kurenai thought it was adorable, however, Kiba gulped at the repulsive show of public love. Shino, however, was thinking about it. Will the time come when I can experience such love? Kurenai and Team 8 assembled in front of Naruto following their late lunch. They bow and express their gratitude for the assistance he has provided them over the past week. No, it's okay, Naruto said, dismissing it. Okay. I'm going to take a break now because I have a meeting with a friend at the tea shop. Kurenai exclaimed as she slipped out of view. Then, since he could not sense her presence, Naruto verified that she was actually gone. I should leave since my mother asked me to return home early. Hinata departed as well. Like Hinata, Kiba and Shino had families to return to, and the sky had already grown darker. However, a clawed hand seized both of their shoulders before they could get away, and knowing who it was, they recoiled in terror. When they turned around, Naruto was standing taller than they were, staring at them with emotionless, icy eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. You two are undoubtedly aware of what I'm going to talk about, correct? Yes. They answered. This was inevitable, and it was already taking place. Because I'm going to be joining another team and leaving yours. I anticipate that both of you will give your lives to defend Hinata because Naruto confronted them directly. If I notice that she has even one scratch on her, I took care of those bandits a few days ago, don't you? Both of them nodded. Akamaru even did so to avoid drawing Naruto's wrath on himself. The bandits Naruto referred to were from the C-ranked mission they completed a few days prior. They were sent to search and demolish a bandits' camp. It was fairly easy. According to the agreement, Naruto and Team 8 were to capture them rather than kill them. Another team of ninjas caught all the bandits, tied them to tree trunks, arrested them, and imprisoned them. However, that did not occur. Hinata was unfortunate enough to sustain a minor slash wound on her arm during the battle against the bandits after being attacked by one of the bandits' katanas. Naruto had to suppress his urge to murder the bastard at that precise moment. However, he was unable to suppress it for very long. Naruto went to the shackled bandits and let loose all of his bottled-up anger on them while Kurenai and Team 8 were all asleep. When Shino, Akamaru, and Kiba went to relieve themselves, they were unfortunate enough to see what Naruto did to those bandits. And they were appalled by the brutality and cruelty of Naruto's fury. When the group of ninjas who were meant to take the bandits to jail arrived, there was a bloody scene to greet them. All of the bandits had died, and they died in excruciating pain. One of the bandits had a huge hole in his belly, and his intestines were hanging out. They thought he was still alive when he was gutted. Because his eyes were inside his mouth, another person didn't have any. Another was flung 20 feet away after having both of his arms and legs torn apart. And another who died the most horrifying death they dreamed of. His intestines were not inside his body, but he was gutted. They served as the ropes that were used to hang him by the neck. There were a lot more, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was that a dangerous killer was out there, roaming the land of fire, and God had no idea what he was doing. They were unaware that Naruto was the culprit, aside from Shino, Akamaru, and Kiba. We'll give our lives to keep her safe, Kiba said. I hope you do. The following day, when Naruto was put on a different team, he was, to be honest, quite unhappy. Welcome to Team 11, Naruto-kun. Asuma shook his hand in greeting. As you can see, my team is a little dysfunctional, but I think they have the potential to accomplish great things in the future. I'm not aware of that. But all I see is a fatso, a blonde bitch, and a lazy bastard with a pineapple head. Naruto had been a member of Team 11 for 1 week. Naruto had to put up with 3 obnoxious brats, which made the week extremely long. One was a gossiping blonde bitch who could not stop talking, especially when discussing an emo lord named Sasuke. The other was a lazy bastard who detested any physical labor. The fatso who was a big coward and always had something edible in his mouth whenever he looked at him was the last but certainly not the least. Cowards, who can only yap about mercy, forgiveness, and fleeing a fight, are despised by Naruto. The peaceful game of shogi between him, Shikamaru, and Asuma was the only thing keeping him from losing his mind. Shikamaru had won a couple of battles against Naruto, but it had been extremely difficult. In any case, Naruto has never had a strategy in the first place. When you don't have a plan in the first place, the enemy will never figure it out. I feel like I stole this line from someone, Naruto uttered. Naruto makes extensive use of what he refers to as on-the-spot counter-attack strategy. In essence, it was a fighting strategy he frequently employed against his brothers. When the enemy attacks, he retaliates with even more vicious blows before employing the same tactic against them. Attacks from Naruto were unpredictable and even more difficult to avoid or counter. Shikamaru spent a lot of time considering how to come up with a passable strategy to beat him, because Naruto didn't seem to respond to any of his tricks the second time. Shikamaru's tactical strategy was greatly enhanced by this, particularly when it came to handling erratic foes. Because Naruto was more unpredictable than any of his opponents. He always preferred to be in charge of a battle, strategizing before his adversaries and setting up traps for them to fall into and suffer from. However, confronting Naruto forced him to step outside of his comfort zone and deal with an entity whose next move he could not predict. On the other hand, Naruto had discovered a new way to unwind, playing shogi with his brothers. Which he was doing with Kuromaru at the moment. After a few minutes of beginning, Naruto shifted his piece to block Kuromaru's earlier blows. Everything appeared to be in order, and Naruto had numerous strategies for winning. Checkmate. Naruto's king was killed by Kuromaru. What the fuck? Naruto was taken aback, wondering how he could have lost. First brother, you ought to have given your king more attention, you exposed him too much. This must be an error, I'd like a rematch. Alright. After 20 moves. Checkmate. Once more, Kuromaru murdered Naruto's king. Rematch. Naruto made a demand. Despite his distaste for superstition, Naruto believes that the third time's the charm could be useful to him. Perhaps. After 25 moves. Checkmate. Naruto lost once more. This guy is good. I believe that even Shikamaru would find it difficult to defeat him, Naruto said, mentally praising Kuromaru. Are you playing shogi, guys? I'm in. When Konohamaru got there, he put his arms around Kuromaru and Naruto. However, I am a veteran at this game, so be advised. With a blatant smug expression on his face, he said. Yes, exactly as if. When Akira arrived at the scene with Akio walking behind him, he said, You think I'm stupid? Although I am not proficient in this game, I am aware that winning requires skillful strategy, which I doubt you possess. You want to play a game with me, bitch? Konohamaru made fun of Akira. You are a bastard. Akira growled. There was something intriguing about the game. Akira would employ a straightforward but risky strategy, attacking Konohamaru violently and preventing him from retaliating. Konohamaru would then employ a different but cunning strategy, allowing or forcing Akira to kill some of his pawns in order to eliminate a crucial piece. The fact that Konohamaru, Shiro, and Hester were conspiring against Akira was even more unfair. Is it a draw? Konohamaru and Akira questioned incredulously. I insist on a rematch. They both made demands. No, Naruto turned down their requests. Why? You see, it's easy. Naruto indicated that it was already 6 o'clock in the evening by pointing to a clock on the wall. The two of you are taking too long to win a game. You two seem to be engaged in an attrition-based conflict, and that's not good. That's awful. Why? Akira tilted his head and asked. You see, playing this game with Shikamaru taught me that you can tell someone's fighting style just by looking at how they play it. Huh? Konohamaru and Akira were both perplexed. Now I understand. Kuromaru cried out upon discovering the significance. When playing this game, the first brother employs his counterattack strategy and makes use of the same tactic when engaging in combat. Using his typical and devious fighting style, the third brother forces others to attack him only to be rendered incapacitated by a clear-cut and cunning attack. The fourth brother, however, prevents them from retaliating by using his aggressive and unrelenting attacks. Oh. Akira and Konohamaru realized that this is yet another more convenient and soothing method of devising plans to defeat your adversaries. However, there is a catch to that as well. Brother, isn't it the first? Kuromaru inquired. Yes, there is, Naruto answered. It is extremely challenging to put your strategy into practice in real life, even if you are successful in defeating each other with it. Because you would lose if your body couldn't keep up with your plan. Kuromaru. I can tell that you are a good tactician, Naruto said, turning to Kuromaru. Use it wisely. Absolutely, my first brother. They each played a few games that night, and Akio participated as well, but Kuromaru easily defeated them all. The following day, Naruto was supposed to return to Hinata's team today and join another one for the upcoming week. It's only a week. Naruto was supposed to meet his new team at a bridge, but instead he was met by a young man with black hair, pale skin, and a fake smile. You must be Naruto-san, I see. With that phony smile, the kid with the black hair greeted him. Where are your teammates, then? Naruto got right to the point and didn't have time for pointless chit-chat. You see, I'm not sure about Kakashi-sensei, and Duck Butt and Pink Bitch will be here a little later. Pink bitch and duck butt. You seem to have a knack for coming up with nicknames. Naruto uttered, his tone sardonic. Thanks for the compliment, he said. I actually learned from a book that calling people by their nicknames can help you bolster your relationship with them. Additionally, the names ought to be truthful. Let me call you a pedophile. I take it this is your honest opinion of me? Naruto's face turned sour. Yes, your height disparity gives the impression that you are a pedophile when I witness you flirting with Hinata-san. All right, child, allow me to offer you some guidance. Naruto touched the black-haired child's shoulder. Try not to be too honest when you give someone a nickname, or you risk being gravely offended. Hester's brutal honesty was difficult for Naruto to handle, and he might end up in serious trouble without even realizing it. Why? The child with the black hair inquired. You won't get into trouble if you just follow my advice. You don't need to ask why. All right. What's your name, please? Sai. Shortly afterward, 2 additional individuals reached the bridge. He recognized the pink bitch Sakura Haruno and the emo kid Sasuke Uchiha from Sai's description of them. You're Naruto? Sasuke inquired. The only one. Fight me. Huh? Okay, repeat that. Naruto used his pinky finger to clean his ears before placing his hand over them. Sasuke said, I said fight me. Just by looking at you, I can tell that you are strong. This child in front of Naruto was beyond his comprehension. Why on earth is he putting him up for a fight? Does he wish to die or something? You are strong, and I like to fight strong opponents. Fight me, then. I don't understand, but if you want to fight, that's okay with me. Naruto assumed his fighting stance, which involved simply standing there. Combat me. With a kunai in one hand, Sasuke charged directly at Naruto. Swash. Sasuke came to a halt and stood motionless, perspiring in terror at what he saw. With incredible speed, Naruto stabbed forward with his 4-clawed fingers in the shape of a spear, but he stopped when it was only a few centimeters from Sasuke's face. Never charge at your adversary without first taking some time to observe him, as this could result in your death. Should I have engaged in actual combat, you would have perished. Avoid being arrogant and underestimating your adversary's brat. All right, people, stop being so violent. It's not good to start fighting so early in the morning. A fresh voice arose from above. They all turned to see a man wearing a mask, his left eye shielded by his forehead protector, and his white hair defying gravity. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura cried out, you're ahead of schedule today. Well, it looks like I'm in luck today. With a smile behind his mask, Kakashi said. After landing in front of them, Kakashi approached Naruto and said, Welcome to Team 7 Naruto. Kakashi held out his hand. I feel like I've met you before, Naruto said, taking his hand and shaking it. I have no idea what you're talking about. Really? Because you have the scent of a dog-masked ninja I know from a long time ago. Ah, that? Yes, I was that person. It's just another ninja scumbag. They headed straight for the mission hall, so the meeting was brief. After complaining that they had completed enough D-rank missions, Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai asked for more difficult missions. After receiving the Hokages and their teacher Iruka's approval, they were assigned a straightforward crank escorting mission. The person they were assigned was a little disappointing, even though this sounded cool. An elderly man who had been drinking complained in a slurred voice, These are the great ninjas that are going to protect me. I don't feel at all protected. Tazuna, a bridge builder from the Land of Waters, was the man. He asked to be escorted back to his village by a C-rank mission. Everyone, especially Kakashi and Naruto, was hoping for a successful mission. They all gathered at the village gate to make sure they were prepared to leave. All right, is everyone present? Kakashi called. Hello. They all answered. I hope everyone has the necessary supplies with them because we will be out of town for a week. Each of them responded with a nod. Naruto heard an angelic voice calling him just before they left. When he turned around, Hinata was running toward him while carrying a lunchbox. Naruto-kun. In between breaths, she uttered, It's for you. She gave the lunchbox to him. Thank you, Hinata-chan. I'll complete this mission in a day with this. Hinata laughed at Naruto's antics as he exclaimed, dramatically raising the lunchbox. Please return soon. Hinata would undoubtedly miss Naruto terribly. She took Naruto's hand and gave him the most heartbreaking expression. I return without getting any scratches. Naruto proclaimed, demonstrating his point with a muscular arm flex. Are you two lovers finished? Kakashi cut the scene short, because we have a long way to go. Unaware that dangerous individuals had painted enormous targets on their backs, Naruto said goodbye to Hinata and set out on his journey to the Land of Waters. At first, the trip went smoothly as they passed a grassy, plain area of land where the bright sun was beaming down on them. The team's genin had no idea that an ambush was in store for them. Excluding Naruto and Kakashi, "Don't you think those puddles looked a little strange, Kakashi?" As he stared at two haphazard water puddles that didn't seem to belong in this sunny plain, Naruto whispered. Kakashi whispered back, looking up at the sky, "I can tell that it hasn't rained in a few days, which means it's an ambush." Naruto came to a conclusion. Two ninjas abruptly appeared out of the two puddles as they were passing through them. They suddenly rushed in Kakashi's direction. With incredible speed, they completely immobilized Kakashi by encircling him with a spiked chain. Their clawed gauntlets were attached to a chain that was suddenly pulled. Kakashi was ripped to pieces as the spiked chain ripped through his flesh. The bloody murder that took place in front of Sakura's eyes caused her to scream. "One down." Darkly, one of the ninjas uttered. "There are 5 more to go." Single quote. Then, prepared to murder the elderly bridge builder, they hurried over to Tazuna with their spiked chain. The ninjas just grinned as Sasuke and Sai blocked them. "Die." Single quote. Suddenly, they ceased to move. Someone had stopped attacking. Upon swiftly turning around, they noticed that Naruto had seized the spiked chain fastened to their gauntlets. A powerful tug dragged them back toward Naruto, who then flipped them inside out with a double clothesline and thumped them to the ground. Naruto then lifted them above their feet by grabbing their necks. They choked and made futile attempts to free themselves from Naruto's vice-like hold. They stabbed Naruto's arm with their poison claws after realizing there was no other option. "You have been poisoned by us," another ninja scoffed. "If you let us go, we might give you the remedy." Another uttered a brazen smile. "You both are in a predicament that you don't comprehend." Naruto let out a sigh. "You don't have authority in this situation." Single quote. They were unable to breathe as Naruto tightened his grip on their necks. Kakashi then materialized behind Naruto and took hold of his shoulder as their eyes started to roll back. "Naruto, enough is enough." Single quote. They collapsed to the ground, unconscious, face down, as Naruto spat at the ground. "Hello, Kakashi-sensei, you're still here." Sakura was ecstatic that her sensei had survived. After explaining to his team how he discovered they were being ambushed, Kakashi said he had more pressing issues to deal with. "We should have a brief conversation, Tazuna-san." Single quote. Returning to Konoha, "What kind of mission are we getting today, Kurenai-sensei?" As her team walked toward the mission hall for their daily mission, Hinata questioned Kurenai. "We'll see." Kurenai smiled as she spoke. "Hopefully, this isn't another Tora retrieval mission." Kiba huffed as he spoke. He detested cats for a variety of reasons, including their extreme laziness, temperament, stubbornness, and more. When they arrived at the mission hall, the Hokage and a few ninjas waiting for them were seated on a table. Kurenai was also taken aback by a certain ninja's appearance. "Asuma-san." Kurenai had a huge smile on her face. "Ah, it is nice to see you here, Kurenai-san." Asuma massaged the nape of his throat. "My team and I have a mission here. How about you?" Single quote. "The same is true here." Single quote. That day, a joint escorting mission was given to Kurenai's and Asuma's teams. It was their responsibility to take their client to the waterfall land. They had a very cowardly client. That was Naruto's way of saying he was still in charge of the land of waterfall in spite of this. When they reached their destination, a stunning waterfall welcomed them. Although they weren't yet permitted to enter, that was meant to be the village's actual entrance. "This is terrible." As he selected a soda can from the river, Kiba grumbled. "It's unbelievable that we are performing a D-ranked mission in the midst of a C-ranked one." Single quote. "I concur with you," Shikamaru said, selecting another can of soda. "You folks gripe too much," Shino said, his voice toneless as usual. "The things that will foster trust between villages are these D-ranked missions." Single quote. "I don't understand how these strange jobs would increase village trust," Kiba said. Shino heard a distinct sound before he could respond to Kiba. "Have you all heard that?" He questioned his allies. "Hear what?" Single quote. The Aburame clan recognized the sound well. It sounded like the wings of an insect flapping. However, it was the sound of something larger than the typical insect. Everyone saw a young girl with what appeared to be insect wings flying above the clear blue sky. Wow, man, she's flying! Hiba cried out. They were all so stunned by the scene that they were unable to speak. Did people frequently fly in the sky? No, it isn't. Shino was the one who was most impressed. Wonderful. Since no one was listening, Shino uttered the words under his breath. Oi Shino, since you are the bug expert here, could you please explain the type of transformation jutsu? Hello, do you hear me? Hiba discovered that Shino was no longer present. She sighed with satisfaction as Fu landed on a tree branch. Living as a Jinchuriki was a dull existence. She was unable to do as she pleased and travel wherever she pleased. Because of this, she was able to escape successfully today and enjoyed a cool, refreshing time flying through the forest while feeling the cool breeze on her. However, an unexpected appearance put her in combat mode. I'm certain that someone is present. She yelled. Disclose yourself. Single quote. Shino came out of his hiding spot, and strolled in Fu's direction. I mean no harm to you. Oh, our village has hired a number of foreign ninjas, including you, to accompany our leader. Single quote. Yes, I am among them. Single quote. What are you doing in here? Are you following me around? Single quote. No, Shino frantically denied. I only came to see your wings. Single quote. You want to see my wings? Fu questioned bewilderedly. People frequently came to see her wings, particularly when they identified her as the seven-tailed Jinchuriki. Because people generally dislike being around Jinchurikis for fear of unleashing the destruction of the tailed beast that is sealed inside them, these wings have caused a lot of problems in the past. Because of this, after she became a Jinchuriki, she was shunned by everyone like a plague that could wreak havoc at any time. Why, what? Fu inquired. I have never seen anything so amazing and beautiful as your wings. Shino said. That was the only thing that Fu said. Everyone didn't like her wings, but the man in the trenchcoat in front of her was the first to describe them as amazing and beautiful. Did I say something incorrectly? Shino inquired. No, there's nothing wrong. She answered. I didn't get your name. Single quote. I apologize for my impolite behavior. Shino Aburame is my name. Nice to meet you, Shino said, bowing. It's good to meet you as well. My name is Fu. Fu bowed as well. What type of jutsu do you employ, Fu-san, to bring these amazing wings into your life? Shino inquired. Oh, these. Reluctant to inform Shino that she inherited these from being a Jinchuriki, Fu touched her wings. These wings date back to my birth, so it's my bloodline limit. She simply thought of a plausible lie. Oh, I understand, Shino answered. An awkward silence ensued. So, may I touch your wings, Fu-san? Single quote. Hey. Fu's face flushed red with embarrassment and she exclaimed in shock. Evidently, no one had ever asked her if she would allow them to touch her wings since she had become a Jinchuriki and no one had ever established a close relationship with her. She was extremely embarrassed when Shino asked if he could touch these wings, even though they weren't really hers in the first place. He seemed to be requesting permission to touch her breasts. I apologize if my abrupt request startled you. Shino expressed regret for not being able to touch them and apologized. I retract my statement. Single quote. Don't apologize, I was just taken aback. Fu made a cute gesture with her hands in front of her. In other words, nobody has asked to touch my wings. If you'd like, you can touch them. Single quote. With her back to Shino, Fu slightly opened her back, exposing some skin and showing Shino her wings. Shino's fingers first touched her wings. Fu gave she a cute eep, because that made her shiver. She had no idea how sensitive her wings were. I apologize, but if this bothers you, I'll stop. Shino took his hand off her wings right away. It's all right. Simply put, I'm very sensitive there. Please keep going. Single quote. Shino tentatively touches her wings once more, a little softer this time. However, that didn't stop Fu from experiencing an odd sensation in her stomach. Then Shino started softly stroking her wings. Fantastic, he muttered. These are so beautiful, and then it followed. Single quote. Did he just describe me as attractive? Because Shino was touching her wings so well, Fu's mind was starting to feel very fuzzy. She had to force herself not to groan because it was so delicious. Shino thoroughly enjoyed seeing and touching these amazing looking wings. As Shino's hand touched Fu, he began to melt. But because of one of Shino's obnoxious teammates, their moment was cut short. "You're here, Shino. We searched all over for you." Kiba appeared without their knowledge. With Naruto again. Opening square bracket closing square bracket. The journey has been uneventful. They haven't run into any enemies in a long time. Despite this, they had every right to go back to Konoha because Tazuna had misled them about the dangers he had concealed from them. Not only was his village impoverished, but an evil merchant named Gato had hired men to kill him in order to prevent him from finishing his bridge. Because the bridge he was constructing was their only means of escaping Goto's oppressive control and starting over, free from both poverty and Gato's control. However, Kakashi's group and Naruto offered to carry out the mission. Naruto unexpectedly threw a kunai toward a bush after suddenly feeling murderous intent. "What the devil, you blonde jerk. I nearly had a heart attack because of you," Sakura shouted. "Stop talking," he simply answered in a tone devoid of feeling. He approached the bush to examine it. The kunai was nailed to the tree trunk behind it, just missing its head, and there was a white rabbit unconscious behind it. It was removed from its ears by Naruto. "That's dinner, then." Naruto intended to have rabbit meat for supper. "You dare not hurt this adorable little one." Sakura grabbed it out of his grasp and started to baby talk it. But all of a sudden, Naruto sensed the same murderous intent coming from above. "Get down, everybody," Kakashi shouted. They were all on the ground. After flying by them, a big sword lodged itself in a tree. On the handle of the enormous blade, a man was observed. A mist protector was tied to his head, and bandages were wrapped around his mouth and nose. And he was the demon of the bloody mist, Zabuza Momochi. "Look at what we have," Zabuba exclaimed with pleasure. "Pray, single quote. You are the man with 1,000 jutsu, Kakashi Hatake of the Hidden Leaf. Single quote. You must be the demon of the bloody mist, Zabuza Momochi. Single quote. Thank you for getting to know me, but if you all want to live, you have to give me over to that old man. Single quote. I apologize, but I am unable to do that," Kakashi answered. With a menacing voice, he picked up his giant sword and said, "Well then, time to die." Before Zabuza could finish, a blur appeared in front of him. His quick reflexes allowed him to avoid the blur. When the blur struck the tree, it cleaved ruthlessly. Zabuza turned to face his assailant, Naruto, who was holding his sword despair in his right hand. "I don't have time for small talk." Naruto gestured to Zabuza with his sword. "If you spot an enemy, kill them right away to avoid wasting time." Single quote. Nice words, kid. Zabuza aimed his sword at Naruto as well. However, words cannot extinguish this demon. Single quote. You are not the only demon here, Naruto said with his usual eerie smile. Single quote. Zabuza addressed Naruto, saying, "I don't know who you are, brat, but I can see that you are just like me." "I don't care about that at all." Naruto was crouching in his combat stance, with his enormous sword resting on his shoulders and held in his right hand. "You're getting in my way, and I have a job to do." Single quote. "Very well, kid, I have a job to do, and that involves that old man." Zabuza grinned and gestured to Tazuna. "Give him to me, and you can all leave with your heads still around your necks." Single quote. "We decline," Kakashi remarked, emerging a few paces behind Zabuza. "Tazuna-san is protected by Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai." "You heard the man." Naruto grinned at Zabuza and said, "If you want your head to remain attached to your neck, get out of our sight." Single quote. "It's funny you know," Zabuza said with a spooky laugh. Single quote. "What's funny?" Naruto inquired. "You think you can screw me just because you have the numerical advantage." Single quote. Zabuza performed some extremely fast hand seals, and Naruto, following his instinct, realized that he would be messed up if he managed to complete whatever jutsu he was attempting. Kakashi was quicker than Naruto and stabbed Zabuza in the ribs with a kunai as they both ran towards him. "You're too late, Hidden Mist Jut." Naruto sliced through Zabuza's neck cleanly before he could finish. Blood sprayed from the headless neck as the head fell to the ground. Sasuke was stunned, Sakura let out a horrified scream, and Sai just stared. "It's a clone of water," said Kakashi. Soon after the body itself broke up into a pool of water, the blood that was gushing from Zabuza's body was discovered to be nothing more than water. Jutsu of Hidden Mist. They were unable to see one another because of the sudden and intense fog that surrounded them. The box is now in formation. Keep Tazuna-san safe. Kakashi gave his team orders. That was always his plan. Using a water clone to trick us and separate us from Tazuna so he can murder the elderly man. Avoid becoming separated, Kakashi yelled. He is Zabuza Momochi, the silent killing technique master. Single quote. Tazuna and the three genin heard a whisper of death not sooner. 8 points, larynx, spine, kidneys, heart, lungs, liver, jugular, and subclavian artery. Which one should I pick? Zabuza said, intending to kill. The intention to kill them was making the genin and Tazuna shudder. Zabuza appeared behind them before they could react. Die. As Zabuza swung his enormous sword, he said. This time, no. Kakashi stabbed Zabuza in the sides, seemingly appearing out of thin air, he said. The Zabuza just turned out to be a water clone, even though blood was streaming from the wound. Behind Kakashi, another Zabuza materialized, poised to strike him with his sword. This is enough for me. When Naruto's voice was heard, a blur passed through Zabuza's body, striking the ground beneath his feet with a tremendous impact from the head. After being cut in half from the head, Zabuza's body was discovered to be another water clone. Che. Naruto was obviously irritated. Nice one, kid. I would have died by now if I had been irresponsible. Through the fog, Zabuza's voice could be heard. You have a terrifyingly fast swing and insane brute strength. However, you lack the necessary skills to wield that sword. Single quote. Who needs skills when you have speed and brute force? Single quote. I think I heard that quote from someone else before, was said with a spooky laugh. Let me guess. Didn't you get it from a secret mist corpse? Single quote. Yes, but so what? Naruto answered. In an attempt to produce super soldiers, the Hidden Mist created an advanced training regimen known as that fighting philosophy, or whatever nonsense you want to call it. However, you know what? The fools who practiced it did not make it. Single quote. Let me guess. It was too difficult for them, Naruto remarked. Single quote. You're right, child. The training regimen was eliminated by the Hidden Mist because it was excessively harsh and eventually destroyed the body due to exhaustion. Given your appearance, I have no doubt that you are among the fools who engaged in that training regimen. And you're going to die soon, just like those fools. Hee. Single quote. You know, I doubt that you can kill me. Many people have said that I will die or that I will die at their hands, but none of them have ever succeeded. Today's kids are so conceited, said Zabuza. Then allow me to instruct you. Single quote. Stop the pointless conversation and let's start spilling blood right away. Single quote. As you like. Single quote. After that, there was a protracted awkward silence. To get Naruto's attention, Kakashi gives him a shoulder pat. We are currently at a disadvantage, so it is best that we cooperate, Naruto. Single quote. So, do you have any plans? Single quote. In actuality, I do, and I will require your assistance. Single quote. All right, let's do this. Single quote. Kakashi then lifted his forehead shield to reveal his left eye. Before that, however, Sasuke was particularly shocked when he opened it. The Sharingan was the one. The unique Dujutsu of which the Uchiha clan was extremely proud. Naruto merely said, so that's where the copy ninja from huh? Which unfortunate Uchiha did you steal that eye from? Single quote. My friend gave it to me as a gift. Kakashi said. He instructed me to use it for public safety. Thus, I'll keep you all safe, he said, turning to his genin. Single quote. Yes, whatever. Naruto just dismissed it with a shrug. So, could you tell me where that jerk is located with those amazing eyes of yours? Single quote. I wish I could, but there is chakra all over this mist. Single quote. That way, I'll find him. Naruto scanned the area with his super enhanced sense of smell. I located him. There he is. Naruto gestured toward a direction. All right, let's get started. Kakashi started the attack by hurling shurikens in the targeted direction. There was a sharp, ching, sound. I'll give you a pig's gut. Naruto hurried over to where the sound was coming from. He struck a metal object with a loud metallic sound that could deafen someone as he swung to spare vertically, cleaving through the mist. After the fog surrounding Naruto partially dissipated, Zabuza could be seen straining to stop Naruto's powerful blow. Not content to stop there, Naruto launched several savage swings at Zabuza, but the mist swordsman skillfully deflected them. His assaults are too powerful. After taking another blow, Zabuza pondered. The shockwaves from his attacks are beginning to numb my hands. He stopped another attack, he said, adding that his swings are quick. I should get this over with quickly. After backflipping away from Naruto's downward attack and gaining a sufficient amount of distance, he began to form hand seals. This is where it ends. Single quote. At the moment, he was standing above a pond. Water style. Jutsu water dragon. Single quote. A dragon formed from the rising water beneath his feet, and it appeared to roar at Naruto. The water dragon charged directly at Naruto, who made no attempt to thwart the attack. Water style. Jutsu water dragon. Zabuza's water dragon was directly approached by another water dragon that materialized. Zabuza noticed that Kakashi was the one releasing the ninjutsu as the two dragons crashed toward one another. Using my own method, huh? Zabuza pondered. I feel as though I'm at a disadvantage. Single quote. Naruto. Kakashi drew Naruto's attention by saying this. Yes, Naruto answered. Let's get this done now. Together, we attack. You divert his attention while I eliminate him. Kakashi explained his strategy to him. That sounds fantastic. Now I am a decoy. Naruto sarcastically agreed. Then, with Kakashi at his heels, Naruto dashed in Zabuza's direction. Naruto used both hands to hold despair as they ran on top of the water, and Kakashi was already creating hand seals. When Zabuza saw this, he grinned at his imminent demise. I got you now. Single quote. Suddenly, something seized Kakashi's feet, preventing him from moving. When he looked down, he saw his feet being held by another water clone. Naruto, you're in danger. Reader, Kakashi was then engulfed in a ball of viscous water, rendering him immobile. What? Turning around, Naruto saw Kakashi inside a water sphere. Avoid becoming sidetracked during a fight. When Zabuza swung his sword at Naruto, Naruto heard that. Although he narrowly avoided the blow, Zabuza swung his sword once more, striking Naruto's temple with the blunt edge. The impact was so powerful that Zabuza heard a chack. After being knocked unconscious, Naruto's body remained still on the water's surface. Che, it appears that I killed you, child. Zabuza made fun of it. Then Zabuza grabbed despair and held it in his free hand. A sword must be near its master at all times. Let's maintain it that way. He impaled Naruto with despair after stabbing him with it. Naruto started to sink beneath the blade because it was heavier than him. That puts you in second place. He spoke in a deep voice while grinning maniacally while staring directly at Tazuna and the genin. The aforementioned individuals experienced a chilling pressure that was aimed at them. Naruto was in his mindscape in the meantime. Congratulations, you've passed away. With a broad smile on his face, Fog said. I'm still alive, you jerk. Naruto said. Well, kid, you had better wake up. Or it will be official that you have died. Kurama uttered those words. Stop talking, you fat fox. Naruto let out a roar. You wouldn't be in this sorry situation if you had been more cautious. Kurama made a point. Fuck you. Naruto gave Kurama the middle finger. The same to you, child. Kurama gave his own middle finger in response. You are aware that you are dying. Naruto was reminded by Fog. Whoa. With a curse, Naruto exited his mindscape. As soon as he opened his eyes, he realized he was underwater and discovered his own sword impaled on his body. After yanking his sword from his body, he directed his aura toward his physical recovery. Even though it was depleting his nutrients, his body was finally fully recovered at the cost of nearly all of his nutrients being consumed. I have to reach the surface. Quote, with what strength he had left, he swam for the surface. When he came to the surface, he was out of breath. I'm going to kill that jerk. Single quote. After that, he searched for Zabuza but was met with a depressing scene. Zabuza was already dead and had 2 sebans around his neck. Ah sht. Disappointed, Naruto uttered. Then he turned to face the murderer. A mist ninja with a feminine figure and an Anbu mask. After removing Zabuza's body, the mist ninja departed. Then he noticed Kakashi on his knees, and Tazuna and his genin arrived to help him. What did I miss? He asked, approaching them. Single quote. The people in front of him began to stare at him in disbelief. What are you observing? Naruto questioned them. The ghost spoke. Sakura let out a horrified scream. You dumb bitch, I'm still alive. Single quote. After 2 hours. Naruto missed a lot of things after being submerged. Sakura informed him that after Sasuke and Sai collaborated to free their sensei, Kakashi killed Zabuza. However, the Anbu ninja discovered him in the mist and used a Seven to kill Zabuza. The Anbu ninja then removed the corpse and disposed of it. She continued by talking about how awesome her Sasuke-kun was for saving their sensei. However, Naruto disregarded all of her pointless babble. Naruto asked Kakashi, who was lying on his back at the time, because he had a lot on his mind. Kakashi had to carry him back then since he had overused his Sharingan and was too weak to move. "Oi, Zabuza is still alive, isn't he, Kakashi?" Naruto inquired. "No, he isn't," Kakashi answered. "What comes next?" Naruto inquired. "We now wait and get better," Kakashi answered. It would take him at least a week to recover, assuming he was sent in a death-like state. Single quote. Then what? Single quote. In order for them to at least have a chance when they face him again, I want to train my genin. Single quote. Ha, you believe they can defeat a ninja of Zabuza's caliber with just a week of training? Single quote. Not quite, but they can at least get away from him. Single quote. They finally arrived in the land of waves, which was in a sorry state, according to Tazuna. They have no time to look on and feel sorry for them despite the fact that there was poverty, starvation, beggars, children in rags, thieves, and much more. They left the rest of the village and came to a reasonably good house by the river. "Tsunami, I'm back," Tazuna said. They were greeted by a young woman as the door opened. "You are back, father. Who are these individuals?" Single quote. It was these ninjas and his young man who kept me safe. Get a room ready for them. Single quote. Who are these individuals? A young boy with a gloomy expression that suggested he had never smiled in his life emerged from the house wearing a white and blue striped hat. "Oh, Inari, we can save this village with the help of these people." Tazuna gave his grandson an introduction to them. "Please go, or else you will all perish." Single quote. Naruto understood what was going on. Gato was the tyrannical leader of the mob in this village. Here, the aforementioned mob boss who was also a businessman was organizing some shady activities. He was in danger from Tazuna because his plans might be jeopardized by the bridge he was constructing. Therefore, it was necessary to kill him. Prior to that, the village hero, aka Inari's stepfather, was killed by Gato and his thugs. No one was to disobey Gato, as evidenced by his public display of death. In actuality, the shit worked because nobody dared to oppose Gato after that day. This infuriated Naruto. There were many cowards in this village. Tazuna was the only individual he respected. He may be a drunk old bastard, to be sure, but at least he dared to challenge Gato. This bridge, which will link them to the mainland, will represent the end of Gato's domination over them. That was their belief. At the moment, Naruto was practicing some basic hid sword-swinging techniques in a forest not far from Tazuna's home. Everyone was asleep at around midnight, and Naruto's final battle was quite disappointing because he was unable to use even his ninjutsu. The contents of the Forbidden Scroll were revealed to Konohamaru on the day they rescued Hinata from Mizuki. He was able to commit one practical method to memory. Jutsu Shadow Clone. Single quote. After calling forth a shadow clone of himself, Naruto started sparring with it. That he was unable to use this jutsu against Zabuza was disheartening. The shadow clone puffed into smoke as he cut it in half. Fuck. Naruto sat down on the grassy ground and moaned. "I'm going to drown that bastard Zabuza in that river and stab him with his own sword the next time we cross paths." Single quote. I'm still too frail. Gazing up at the starry sky, Naruto pondered. He could see the lovely moon that illuminated the pitch-black night as he looked up at the serene, starry sky. He was reminded of a very special person by the moonlight on the starry sky. "Ah, Hinata-chan, you are missed." Abruptly, the wind grew stronger around Naruto. It created a dark portal in front of him, as though the room itself were being warped. Naruto stood up and went to inspect the portal because it appeared so sinister. "What the devil is this?" Naruto muttered to himself. "Naruto." Fog's voice reverberated within his head. "Enter through the portal." Single quote. "Why?" Naruto inquired. "The first sign of your awakening has come. It's a test for all the hosts who have aura," Fog stated. "It will either make you stronger or kill you." Quote. Returning to the pit. "What the devil is this?" As the same dark portal materialized in front of every pit resident, Shiro uttered those words. This portal appeared in front of them as they were all enjoying a midnight snack. What ought we to do with it? Akira inquired. Let's simply enter and take a look. It might be enjoyable, Akio asked, his eyes brimming with excitement. Fifth brother, it appears to be hazardous. Kuromaru had to prevent them from acting irrationally. It was Naruto's responsibility to maintain order among his brothers when he wasn't at the pit. I concur with Kuromaru. Hester made an honest decision. Let me consider it. Konohamaru entered a state of contemplation. Returning with Naruto. Can I omit it? Naruto inquired. You must take the trail, though I hope you can. Fog replied. In addition, the portal has already materialized in front of your brothers back at the pit. Additionally, they just stepped through the portal. Quote. Fuck. Naruto stepped through the portal right away. There was nothing that Naruto feared, not even death. However, fear is a universal emotion, and for Naruto, it was the loss of his family. He and all of his brothers who live in pits have a strong bond despite not being related by blood or race. A very ancient tunnel met him as he passed through the portal. He stepped forward and was met by a wooden door. He opened it and found himself in a darkened stone chamber. There were torches hanging on the walls to light it. First brother, are you also present? Additionally, Naruto noticed that Kuromaru and all of his brothers were in the room. They all started waiting for something to happen after I explained the situation to them, since Fog promised that someone would arrive and guide them to the actual trail. However, that person didn't even show up 2 hours later. The inhabitants of the pit were growing weary of waiting. What sort of rewards can we expect from this trail? I'm bored, Konohamaru inquired. Stop talking, you bastard hairless ape. You asked that same shit 5 minutes ago and another 5 minutes before that, said Akira, irritated. Single quote. In defense of himself, Konohamaru said, I'm getting bored, okay. Alright, you two go ahead and do it. Kuromaru broke up their pointless argument before it turned physical. The first brother no longer appears to be very joyful. Single quote. With his eyes closed and a displeased look on his face, they could see Naruto seated in the room's corner. I believe the first brother is upset about something, Akio said. Naruto was furious at the moment. 2 hours had passed. For 2 fucking hours, they were confined to this room. In order to return to Konoha and be with Hinata-chan once more, he wanted to complete the mission in the wave as quickly as possible. But he was spending too much time on this pointless trail. A blue portal suddenly materialized in front of them. Welcome to the Awakening Trail. Through the portal came the voice of a young Chirpy. A young man with purple hair, a full business suit, and a bright smile emerged from the portal. He appeared to be around 20 years old. I'm Aldo, and I'll be your trail guide. I apologize for being late, but I tend to be late, especially on significant occasions. Thus, you will start your trail right away. You can ask me anything. Aldo was interrupted by the icy stares of Akira, Konohamaru, and Naruto. Even the chirpy little boy was the target of their bloodlust. They were tired of waiting, and this bastard was the reason this trail was taking so long. You appeared to be quite irate. Single quote. Oh, are we? Naruto's voice was very dark. Can I kill the first brother? With his scythe poised to murder, Akira questioned. I want to use my claws to disembowel him. Konohamaru uttered those words while threateningly flexing his claws. With their weeponsa or, in Akira's case, their jasa in hand, they approached Aldo. Let's talk about this like good gentlemen, shall we? Aldo backed up a little and said in terror. So, let's talk about things with our fists. As he cracked his knuckles, Naruto uttered those words. It will hurt like hell, I can assure you of that. Single quote. After a few minutes, Aldo's business suite was a complete mess, and he had 3 bumps on his head, black eyes, a swollen cheek, and a few scratches here and there. All right, I'll pardon you, Naruto said. Is that your method of forgiving others? Aldo questioned incredulously. If people are not punished for their mistakes, they will never learn from them. Naruto replied, and you were deserving of punishment. Single quote. All right, where is the dumb trail? Too much time is being wasted here. Naruto needed to return because he had wasted too much time here. Simply go through this portal. Aldo gestured toward the portal that materialized behind him. Please remember that you cannot trail together. You must face your own trial on your own because everyone must face their own trial. You will receive a reward if you can make it through the trail. Single quote. Anyway, we have conditioned ourselves to defend and destroy rather than to survive. Recalling the motivation behind his strength training, Naruto uttered those words. Anything that comes our way in this trail will be destroyed. Naruto then proceeded to enter the portal. All right, then, I'll be your slave for a day if you finish this trial before me, Konohamaru said, turning to face Akira. You will be my bitch for a day if you don't. I already see you wearing a dog collar. Single quote. Go for it, you bastard hairless ape. As they both sprinted in the direction of the portal, Akira exclaimed. Konohamaru leapt just a few meters from the portal, launching himself in its direction while using his head as a stepping stone. Until we meet again, bitch. As Akira stepped through the portal, Konohamaru gave him the finger. Oh no, you do not. Akira jumped through the portal. After witnessing all of this bullshit, Kuromaru let out a defeated sigh. When will they mature? Single quote. I'm truly sorry for the violence my brothers have inflicted on you, he said, turning to face Aldo. He expressed regret, but you really must arrive on time, or else you'll get a much worse beating the next time. Single quote. Kuromaru then went through the portal. The only person remaining was Akio, who was just staring at Aldo. What would you like? Aldo inquired. Can I regain my sanity if I pass the trial? Akio posed a serious question. Akio did not appear to have his typical domestic dog personality at that time. Aldo felt an uneasy chill run down his spine as he gazed at the wolf in front of him. Yeah, I suppose, Aldo answered uneasily. Really? Akio was beaming with excitement as he resumed his typical demeanor. Yeah, Akio went through the portal. What was that wolf up to? Aldo was perplexed. Akio was an odd being. There was a serious problem with him. In the meantime, within the portal, darkness greeted Naruto and his brothers once more. A host is being detected by the system. Opening square bracket, closing square bracket. A voice from inside Naruto sounded robotic. Say what? All Naruto could say was that. The deep scan is finished. Naruto, the new host, is being registered. Naruto was completely perplexed, asking, what the fuck is going on? Single quote. Kindly check your status. Put your hand on your heart and say, status, to bring up this page. Opening square bracket, closing square bracket. All right, Naruto followed the voice's instructions. Then he noticed a floating screen before him. Status, Naruto is his name. Level, 1 in 0 100s XP. Evolution points, 5 out of 10. Race, human variant half-war demon. 1500 HP. Chakra, 19,674 19,674. 500 500s aura parent. 500 500s nutrients. 500 500s stamina. Class, not applicable. Titles, Ascent 9 Tails Jinchuriki. Depending on the maximum HP, the host receives 20% health regeneration per second as a Jinchuriki of the strongest tailed beast. Additionally, it gives the host a strong affinity for fire release. Ascent the demon with the smile. Qualities, strength, 10. Dexterity, 10 for agility, 10 points for intelligence. Good fortune, 10 points for attributes, 0 ability. Passive abilities. Ascent Jinchuriki's enhancement. The host increases the chakra pool by 10,000 and recovers 20% of HP per second. LV maximum. Ascent memory for photographs. LV max. Ascent bloodlust. Level 1. Threatening. Level 1. Ascent preparing food. Level 1. Ascent theft. Level 1. Ascent intrusion. Level 1. Ascent stealth. Level 1. Active abilities. Not 1. Aura abilities. At the expense of 1 aura point per second and 1 nutrient point per second, enhanced regeneration restores the host's body. Ascent aura armor. Uses 1 aura per second and expends 1 stamina point to create armor out of solidified aura. 2 aura points are used to repair the armor each time it is attacked. This was a situation that all of the pit dwellers encountered, not just Naruto. Status. Single quote. Status. Kuromaru is his name. Level. 1 in 0 100s XP. Evolution points, 7 out of 10. Race. Half-war demon variant of the Minotaur. 2,500 HP. 500 500s chakra. Child aura. 250 250ths. Minerals. 1,000 1,000. 500 500 stamina. Class. Not applicable. Qualities. Strength. 10. Dexterity. 10. 10 for agility. 10 points for intelligence. Good fortune. 10 points for attributes. 0. Titles. Ascent the spiked shield of the smiling demon. The attacker will be hit with 70% of the host's damage whenever the host sustains damage. Ability. Passive abilities. Ascent Bloodlust Level 1. Threatening Level 1. Ascent Preparing Food Level 1. Ascent Theft Level 1. Ascent Intrusion Level 1. Ascent Stealth Level 1. Ascent Child Care LV Max. Active abilities. Not 1. Aura abilities. At the expense of 1 aura point per second and 1 nutrient point per second, enhanced regeneration restores the host's body. Ascent Aura Armor. Uses 1 aura per second and expends 1 stamina point to create armor out of solidified aura. 2 aura points are used to repair the armor each time it is attacked. Then Konohamaru appeared. Status. Single quote. Status. Konohamaru is his name. Level. 1 in 0 100s XP. Evolution points. 4 out of 10. Race. Human variant half-war demon. 1000 HP. Chakra. 454 150ths. Child's aura. 200 200ths. 500 500ths nutrients. 300 300ths stamina. Class. Not applicable. Qualities. Strength. 10. Dexterity. 10. 10 for agility. 10 points for intelligence. Good fortune. 10 points for attributes. 0. Titles. Ascent the one who bathes in blood. The host gains 20% damage, 20% movement speed, and 20% attack speed when the attacker's blood is drawn. At the same time, the host loses 3 stamina and 3 nutrient points every second. Ability. Passive abilities. Ascent Bloodlust Level 1. Threatening Level 1. Ascent Theft Level 1. Ascent Intrusion Level 1. Ascent Stealth Level 1. Active abilities. Not 1. Aura abilities. At the expense of 1 aura point per second and 1 nutrient point per second, enhanced regeneration restores the host's body. Ascent Aura Armor. Uses 1 aura per second and expends 1 stamina point to create armor out of solidified aura. 2 aura points are used to repair the armor each time it is attacked. Akira came next. Status. Akira is her name. Level. 1 in 0 100s XP. Evolution points. 6 out of 10. Race. Wolf variant half-war demon. 1000 HP. Chakra. 454 150ths. Child's aura. 200 200ths. 500 500ths nutrients. 300 300ths stamina. Class. Not applicable. Qualities. Strength. 10. Dexterity. 10. 10 for agility. 10 points for intelligence. Good fortune. 10 points for attributes. 0. Titles. Ascent the Predator. By transforming into the Predator state, the host gains 15% more damage, 15% more attack speed, and 25% more movement speed. Ability. Passive abilities. Ascent Bloodlust Level 1. Threatening Level 1. Ascent Intrusion Level 1. Ascent Stealth Level 1. Active abilities. Not 1. Aura abilities. At the expense of 1 aura point per second and 1 nutrient point per second, enhanced regeneration restores the host's body. Ascent Aura Armor. Uses 1 aura per second and expends 1 stamina point to create armor out of solidified aura. 2 aura points are used to repair the armor each time it is attacked. Finally, but just as importantly, Akio. Status. Name. Akio. Level. 1 in 0 100s XP. Evolution points. 6 out of 10. Race. Wolf variant half-war demon. 1000 HP. Chakra. 454 150ths. Child's aura. 200 200ths. 500 500ths nutrients. 300 300ths stamina. Sanity score. 200. Class. Not applicable. Qualities. Strength. 10. Dexterity. 10. 10 for agility. 10 points for intelligence. Good fortune. 10 points for attributes. 0. Titles. Ascent the Predator. By transforming into the Predator state, the host gains 15% more damage, 15% more attack speed, and 25% more movement speed. Ascent Abyssal Forest Survivor. Gains 30% more damage, 10% more movement speed, and 0.5 sanity points per second, which can stack up to 4 times. The host will go into the Carnage state when sanity drops to 0. Ability. Passive abilities. Ascent Bloodlust Level 1. Threatening Level 1. Ascent Theft Level 1. Ascent Stealth Level 1. Active abilities. Not 1. Aura abilities. At the expense of 1 aura point per second and 1 nutrient point per second, enhanced regeneration restores the host's body. Ascent Aura Armor. Uses 1 aura per second and expends 1 stamina point to create armor out of solidified aura. 2 aura points are used to repair the armor each time it is attacked.
I will continue the story in next part. Till then, we weeb offline.